Hello and welcome back to The House That Happens, sponsored by Shuey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. But today we are at San Francisco Foods and not Miss Saga, I should say Aaron Mills rather, or else I might get slapped by a couple people at this table. But my name is Andrew Milani and I'm joined with...
Hi, my name is Cruz.
And today we have a special guest, Mr. Kevin Pick.
Who is what would we say? Say hello, Kev.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me on today.
And he is born and bred in Aaron Mills.
There we go. Kevin, pleased to have you on the show today. We're thrilled. We've been hearing your name for a long time now. He only name drops you every episode, so...
Well, you know, for full disclosure, I'm going to have to say this. I'm going to make an estimate that I've known... How old are you now? 38.
38 years young.
I'm going to guess that I've known Kevin for well over 30 years. Well over 30 years. And if I have a couple minutes, you might like this story. It was a long time ago when I met Mr. Pick. It was an interesting story, but we still make jokes about. But a long time ago, I was one of those guys that had to go... I was divorced. So you have the opportunity to go to after school to pick up your kids when you pick them up from class. So you call the school and they tell you, okay, Mr. Cruz is coming to pick up his 2 sons at school today. So everybody knew that I was coming except for one. No, one individual knew I was coming, but here was the problem. Back 30-some years ago, what was the color of my kids' hair? Kev?
Blonde as as I've ever seen.
So I had yellow blonde kids. Okay, so I come walking into the school, and I come walking down to the hallway, and I walk into the school, and I walk into the class to pick up my kids, and there's a lovely lady by the name of...
Mrs. O.
Mrs. O is about 5'3". She's got blonde hair just like my kids. Well, her introduction went something like this. Who are you? You're not supposed to be here. There is no kids of your color in this place.
She said that.
Along those lines.
Wow.
And if you are trespassing, I am calling the police. Now, my older son, Zach, was sitting about right there, and he's looking with stunned eyes. She's giving it to me with both barrels. I don't know what to say, and suddenly 2 kids come out from under a table. I don't know where they were, but they come out of the table, and who are they? Matt Cruz and Kevin Pick. And Matt Cruz saying, Mrs. O, that's my dad. Since then, she's loved me forever. She loved me forever. But it was a very... What were you in? Junior kindergarten, senior kindergarten at the most?
We would have been, 5, 6, 7
5,
years old.
6 at the most. So just to let everybody know, I've known this gentleman for... He probably, his life is... Probably don't have much memories beyond that, do you?
No, that would have been one of the first.
Yes. I hope it didn't scar them. You know what I say? In any event,
Well, it's here now. It can't be too bad.
No, I just want to point out that first and foremost, we are at San Francisco. In the heart of San Francisco's. He always corrects me on that correctly.
The first time he said the name, I'm like searching this place up on Google. I'm like, San Francisco, what's he talking about? And I'm like, oh, San Francisco.
Full disclosure, he's Italian too. Okay, you know what I mean? So anyways, we are very happy to be here. It's our second time that we've been able to broadcast from here. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some characters on from the Sluggers coming in to probably disrupt, say silly things, and discuss why they're the best player on the team, which is probably not true. Correct? I want to start with some shout-outs.
Well, I want to ask you first, Kevin. So introduce yourself a little bit and what sports you follow, what teams you like, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, sounds good. Well, you guys know my name. I'm a sports fan through and through. Mainly hockey, baseball, football, basketball. But, I mean, if we want to talk about college sports, soccer, whatever it will be, I'm a lover of all sports. Lifelong Denver Broncos fan, so I've seen 3 Super Bowls. It's been great. It has not been great since 2015, but, maybe there's some optimism going forward. A lot of people think I'm a Maple Leaf fan growing up in Toronto and having those roots, and I do have some Leaf love, but as a kid, I was always a Patrick Waugh fan.
Thank you.
First love was the Patrick Waugh and the Montreal Canadiens.
Thank you.
However, when there was that big falling out in Montreal, and Patrick Waugh left that ice after being hung up for, 7, 8, 9 goals?
8, 9 goals, yeah.
That's why Mario Tremblay's never been with the organization since. Continue.
I packed my bags and followed him to Colorado. So, from a hockey standpoint, Colorado's my team. Outside of outside of Colorado and the Denver Broncos, Toronto sports fan.
I've never seen Cruz's expression change so quick.
I never got that full revelation from him. I did know that he is a bit of a Patrick Roy guy. I do remember that. But to hear the love for the Montreal Canadiens moves my heart in a big way. You know,
It's not there anymore.
I know, but the fact that he even had that gene to continue on with the great Montreal Canadiens makes me happy. Made my day.
And Cruz, what happened after Patrick Roy went to Colorado for 2 years in a row?
I'm not saying that. I forget. I have selective amnesia.
Stanley Cup champions.
I said I have selective amnesia when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? In any event, I also want to shout out, he is now becoming a coach of kids. Are you not, Kev?
I already coach 7 to 9 year olds in rookie ball. I'm looking to step up into the rep level next year. We'll see. I interviewed for the job last week, and I should know sometime after Labor Day. So that'll be awesome. I also coach U8 hockey. So hockey and baseball, just helping develop the next generation of athletes.
That's amazing. And in full disclosure, Andrew, I coached him baseball 1 year.
Oh, yeah?
I was his coach. As a matter of fact, he moved up a level. He was good enough at that particular point in time that he moved up a grade. I had to go to see his dad. God bless your dad, by the way. I had to go to see his dad to say, is it okay if he could come up and play in a league a year higher than he was eligible for, so to speak. And he played commendable.
Led the team in batting average,
Yes,
starting shortstop.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. And he will always remember my assistant coach, but we won't really talk about that a lot, will we?
Let's leave Howie off this podcast.
Did he scar you? Did he scar you guys, or just leave bad memories?
Let's leave him off the podcast.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, yes.
I guess we can get right into shout-outs.
Yes.
So I'll start. Last week, I was at my buddy Rob's wedding. Him and Jess had a beautiful wedding at the Manor in King. I was in the wedding party. Just an amazing, fantastic day with some with some great people. Radhika got to meet the whole friend group.
Cool.
It was a great day, yeah.
Big shout out to Radhika, as I usually do. Hope she's doing okay. And it was Rob and
Jess.
and
Rob's a regular listener to the podcast, so you'll be hearing this.
oh, that's great. I hope that you guys stay married for 75 years and have 3 boys and 1 girl.
Cruz.
Okay.
Fun fact about the Manor. You've been there.
Is that where you were?
That's where I got married.
That's right. That's a great place. Is that where? It sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Beautiful
By the way,
venue.
Hey, his wedding was beautiful too.
Although
That was
there's we're like between pictures and the ceremonies, there was these random couples coming down to like our floor, just like randomly taking selfies and like moving chairs around. We're like, what the hell are you guys doing down here?
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out. Congratulations, though.
Yeah.
Congratulations on a beautiful wedding and a hopefully amazing future.
Rob, in his speech, shouted out how me and him never always saw eye to eye as children, but we made up as, I guess in high school and into university, we kind of became close. So.
Longtime friend then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I've known him since kindergarten.
That's very cool. Very, very cool. Another shout out?
I'm good for shout-outs.
Okay, you have any shout outs there?
Oh, and actually, Massimo, at the wedding, he announced that they got a bun in the oven, my buddy that I work with. So,
oh, right.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him, too.
Yeah.
Does he know if it's a boy or a girl?
They don't want to know until
That's amazing.
they're born.
That's amazing. Any shout outs to you, Kev?
You know what? Is this a good time to go over the MCM?
No, we'll give you that in a minute because
Oh.
I got some shout outs too. First of all, I want to shout out, if anyone knows anything, and I don't really know how to bring it up, but it's been a tumultuous last 2 weeks for me, but I think it would be remiss if I didn't give a huge shout out to the Crown Ryan and the Detective Taylor Halford, for doing such an amazing job in a very trying court case that I had to deal with in the last week. They did an amazing job of 7 charges, and all 7 charges ended up being guilty. Number 2 is, I can't say enough for the support. I didn't know what a guardian angel was, but Jenna Lee Freeman was there every day. Her support and love was unbelievable. And of course, Andrew B.O.H. Freeman was there with huge support. I want to thank Paul Semenuk and his lovely wife Sarah. They came out and showed huge support. My sister Maria came in just to make sure it was there. And the man to my right, I'll try not to get emotional. He was my biggest guy there. In any event, it's all over. I just want to thank you guys. I can't say thank you enough for the support.
Anytime. We're family, Cruz.
You know that,
And
100%.
justice was served.
That definitely was. And I got one kind of a backhand shout out here. Andrew, okay? Kev, you don't know this, but I spend too much time watching sports now that I'm retired. So there's probably nothing on the TV that I don't watch. And sometimes I hear and see things that make me go, why are these people on television?
Oh, no.
So this week there's two people, Mr. Milani knows, they're two of my favorite people on TV. And I want to bring their names up. And I hope they hear this. First of all,
I don't think they will, but okay.
First of all, Mr. Frankie Corrado, ex-Leaf, wasn't he?
He was.
How does this guy get on television? I don't know, but I wanted to ask you guys this. Was it right for him, and Leo Raukins jumped on it right away again, after the Canadian basketball team fell to France, he said right on the air, should they be ashamed of themselves for losing?
That's a clown take.
Is it not? I fell off my couch. Here you are. If you are an Olympian representing your country, in my opinion, you're already a champion. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But because they had a rough game, one rough game against a team, this guy had the unmitigated audacity to say, should the Canadian team be ashamed of their performance? Now he tried to backtrack like it was, that's a shame, because Leo Raukins jumped in right away and says, what's with this shame nonsense, buddy?
Good.
You know what I mean? Like, I could not believe a guy that gets on TV would say that about our national anthem.
I think a lot of that has to do with this stupid rivalry that hockey guys have against basketball for whatever reason. They just like, no, I can't stand basketball. I think a lot of it has to do with that, if I had to guess. But, like, it makes no sense. Like, what? Like, consider where the program has come the last, like, not even last 4 years, last 20 years, where we've come from. You guys steamrolled through the group stage. Okay, you ran to a good team in France. You could have gotten done. Fine, but that's nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you very much. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because here at the House That Happens, we try to stay relatively positive. Kev, one of the things we try to say is we no longer...
We're not going to force a positive take, though.
Okay, we were not going to do that. However, we try to say this now. In the evolution of this show, we don't like to say that people suck.
I mean, sometimes guys
The
suck.
performance.
But come on, these guys didn't suck. Come on.
No. So anyways, we like to say your performance sucked. Which brings me to my second guy that comes on to TV, and you know who that favorite is there? Mr. David Feschuk.
Name me a more punchable face in sports media.
Well, you know why his face is so punchable?
Maybe Steve Simmons.
Okay. Steve's edged off in his old age. But if Feschuk can come on TV just once and not drag a athlete from Toronto's dick in the dirt, I will go, wow, has he changed? Does this guy ever have a positive take on anything Toronto? Okay, just because you've been in the newspaper for 20 years and you're a liberal does not mean that you have to be negative about everything that you have to say. The reason that I'm bringing these guys up is that my virtuous partner over here always reminds me of whatever angle we take on sports. It's not our responsibility to see how negative we can get about the individuals. You know what I mean? No matter what you're talking about in sports.
No, this isn't First Take.
No. Oh, you mean the arbitrator of race? I stopped watching that show, by the way.
Good for you. You're probably better for it.
I stopped watching that show. What I'm getting at, Kev, is something like this, okay? We go out in a game and a guy makes 3 errors. He had a bad game. You ever had a bad day? You ever had a bad day? We all have a bad day. But to have an individual like Feschuk come on every time, and he just constantly, if you're a Toronto guy and you're supposed to be a fan and you're generationally into the game, then why don't you say something like, there's something good going on in Toronto? And until the day I hear him say something about good, he can eat my shorts.
You know why people like that will always have a place on the radio or TV? Because now people like us are talking about it.
Everything's content, I agree. And,
Yeah.
and nothing goes by without anybody saying anything about it. But like I said, I'm going to defend the House That Happens this way. We will not ever go down that road. And it's really sad that a national TV program that has no competition at the moment gets away with some
Shame.
of the things that they do.
Yep.
That's all.
Yeah, just because it's on the radio doesn't mean it should be, or on TV, it should be on TV, right?
100%.
Any more shout-outs?
No, I can't think of them. Is there something? We got to shout out to San Fran for having us.
Of course.
Agree?
Thank you, San Francesco Foods, for your
And
hospitality.
San Francesco's Foods.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you very much.
MCM, time for that?
Absolutely. So something that's near and dear to my heart, and I have to start by really thanking the Cruz family for allowing me to do this every year.
No problem.
Is the MCM charity golf tournament, and the MCM is Matthew Cruz Memorial. Matthew, as Cruz alluded to earlier, I've been friends with Matthew Cruz since I was 5 years old, and the ability to keep honoring his memory and honoring my friendship through this golf tournament has been an amazing experience. So first of all, thank you to the Cruz family for allowing me to do this every year.
You're welcome, beyond.
But this year's tournament, as I said, it's going to be the third year we're doing this. It's September 14th at Granite Ridge Golf Course. It's a shotgun in Milton. It's a shotgun start. We're going to have a nice little banquet dinner after, like we did last year. Tons of prizes. The golf event itself, we're really enhancing this year. We're adding a hole-in-one challenge where if you get a hole-in-one, you get $10,000 on the spot, and we're adding a lot of other great events throughout the day. So September 14th, Granite Ridge Golf Course in Milton. We're still looking for registrants. We're hoping for 144. Last year we were about 120. So we're growing every year. And sponsors. We can't do this without our sponsors. We've already doubled our sponsorship from last year.
Wow.
So I have to shout out Milton Ford and everybody else that's really come to the table and provided amazing support. Over the last 2 years, we've donated about $12,000 to the Jays Care Foundation. So we do partner with, again, Matt's love for baseball, and really looking to help support kids in underserved communities, provide fair access to sports. Because what are we talking about today? We're talking about sports. We're talking about memories. So
you got it. No, man, I'm going to put in my 2 cents. You've been doing an amazing job, buddy. I think we should shout out to Tanya and Jenna too for their hard work in getting us there. But I think what I really get out of it is it's a great venue to have it. He's going to want to know the menu. Just tell him the food's fabulous.
So I have some friends that are interested, so we want to know what's going to be served up.
So we haven't formalized the menu yet, but
Okay.
last year it was either steak or chicken. And let me tell you, the steak
Off the
was
charts.
unbelievable.
All right.
They do a really good job there at Granite Ridge, and you have your pasta dish, your Italian. We'll fit that in for you. Your salads, your antipasto, and dessert after. It's a great event, and it's just growing every year. Yes, we are honoring the memory of Matt, but I think the biggest thing is helping others create memories in sports through the donations that we're doing with the Jays Care Foundation as well. So it's a great cause all around.
And not only that, which I'm going to do, I'm probably going to golf with some different people this year. I'm really impressed with the camaraderie, the sense of friendship, the laughter, the memories are really, really, like first year, where we were, everybody, what's going on. Last year was like everybody was running back, and this year I think it's going to be a little bit more. But I really think that my son would be happy to see just the camaraderie on the golf course from all the people that are there. As a matter of fact, one of the sad things that I think about a lot is it's a shame that Andrew never got to meet my boy. Like he would have been into this like a dirty shirt. He'd have been on the show already, 100%. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. He read a lot of books going to and from work. I bet you he would have substituted a couple of those for The House That Happens.
Oh, no, there's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? And I forgot one little shout out that I'll say there because unfortunately Andrew never got to meet my boy. But somebody was telling me the other day that I bring him up an awful lot, so I'm going to put a period on the sentence on this once and for all. I want to say a big shout out to my dog Stanley. I have to do this because between my neighbors and everyone know what's going on, I'm going to explain the situation this time in the only 9 who Stanley is, so they'll know why he's this significant. Number 1, he's my best friend. Number 2, he's my mental health advisor. And number 3, he's my comic relief. So what more could you ask for? So everybody that's always has come up in the last couple of weeks about everyone seeing me with Stanley. Why is Stanley so significant? I think that puts a period on the sentence, don't you?
Sure.
Sounds
Know
good.
what I mean? Anyways, we're really looking out for, if I found a way I could bring him to the tournament, I would.
Yeah, I'm sure he would love chasing balls, and I mean
That's what he does. That's why he is not coming.
and just to put a bow on it, if anyone is interested in sponsoring or coming out, you can get in contact with me, kevin.pick@outlook.com, and I'm happy to share the details.
Great, buddy.
Sounds wonderful.
It's going to be a great event. Yeah. Go ahead, bud.
Is it time for the San Fran Slugger report?
I was hoping that there'd be some sluggers here, but I guess we can let them get in
Okay, we'll save that for when they roll in.
when they roll in. See, they'll do it. Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the real meat and potatoes here. So obviously, no Formula One to talk about. They will be back in action next weekend in Netherlands, Zandvoort. A great track. It's got that cool Banks corner.
Yep.
I understand you're quite the Formula One fan.
Absolutely, grew up watching it with my dad, and I had a passion for it from a young age.
So I want to ask, what? Do you have a...
No, you should explain what your dad had in the driveway every day.
My dad, in his spare time, was a vintage race car driver. So not only did he love Formula One and racing, he did it as a hobby. So I was at the track most often, Shannonville up in kind of the Kingston area, Mid-Ohio, Mont Tremblant. So we did a couple bigger trips, but Mostport was the home track.
How many
love that
times?
track.
How many times you go by your house and there was a race car in front of the house?
Oh,
More than twice.
from May to October.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and didn't your dad have an old vintage car too?
He did earlier in his life. He had an Austin Healey, but for his retirement gift to himself, he did buy himself an Austin Healey, which is still sitting in my mom's garage right now. And,
Beautiful car.
And my mom is learning how to drive it.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
so cool. Shout out to your mom, man. You got to see this car. Like, you look at this car, it's sexy.
Yeah.
It's flat out sexy, man. Very, very good car.
So I wanted to ask you, for Formula One, what are your impressions of the season? It looks like Max is going to probably hang on to win the driver's title, but Constructors is a little bit more of a messy image right now. I don't know do you think McLaren can come and sneak away that Constructors title, or do you think it's Red Bull's?
It's going to be very difficult for McLaren to come in. I do think Sergio picks up his socks in the back half of the year. I mean, they've had now almost a month to kind of try to get things right while the drivers are off doing their sabbaticals. But I do think we'll see some better finishes from Perez, it'll be a close race, and I think that's been the best thing about this Formula One season. Even though Max
Agreed.
is up 78 points, 10 races to go, it's been competitive.
Oh, absolutely.
Very.
There's been multiple winners, and I think it's a good precursor for next year. Max has it this year. That's going to be hard to make up. But I do think we're going to see McLaren. I think Ferrari is going to have a good showing in the back half.
That make you happy?
I'm hoping.
Mercedes has had some really good finishes. Like, if it wasn't for 1.5 kilograms,
that was insane.
They would have had another win.
That was a learning lesson for me. 1.5. I've had bags of weed much bigger than that.
Well, it would have been a 1-2.
Would have been a 1-2.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
would have moved it up. First of all, Mr. Pick, you have to understand when we talk about Formula One here, if you say anything bad about Max, I have issues, okay? I think that he will be in a James
grow
Bond. He's not happy with this. Because
sometimes you got to call him out for being a bitch.
Stop it. You see, I'm not happy with this. I don't see Max and bitch in the same sentence. He does.
He sounds like a bitch sometimes.
He is one of the best drivers to ever sit in a Formula One car, but he's also a villain. That's what makes him so polarizing.
That's why I love him.
I will say my son walks around with a Max Verstappen Red Bull hat.
Nice.
Oh, I want a picture of that too. You know what I mean? My call at the beginning of the season, I like Zach Brown. The guy.
You didn't like him up until March?
Yeah, when I seen this guy come in, I go, I like this guy. So I'm and really in a weird way, he'll tell you, I've given some love to the McLaren team. I think they've made some strategic mistakes this year going into
some big ones.
Yeah, that I like my learning. You know a lot more about it than me, but I mean, I've taken a crash course. I've just almost graduating high school in the understanding of Formula One, so to speak. But I've noticed, like, I watch every race, every qualifying now. Sometimes I watch them twice just to learn stuff. But those pit stops and understanding what goes on in the pit has blown me away, because McLaren has basically blown a couple of races and a couple places standings.
Yeah.
Just because of.
Well, everyone seems to do that except for Red Bull. Red Bull will never be beaten in the pits and on strategy.
Point well taken.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that would be McLaren would go a little bit higher. One of the other things I've never understood about F1, since we're here, and I'm going to ask you about this, it blows my mind. Lewis Hamilton is racing for a team that he's going to be fighting against next year. I've never, he keeps explaining it to me. I understand it's a politics.
Yeah, well, it's called silly season for a reason. Even people in the sport know it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it blew me away. Like, this guy's going to race all year for Mercedes knowing he's going to be with Ferrari next year. Mm-hmm. That's like...
In no other sports do you have someone that's an impending free agent that's already signed their next contract.
Yeah.
And they already know where they're going to go. I think it's unique. It's guaranteeing their future.
What about the competitive balance? You think there's no effect on that?
Why didn't Mercedes come to the table and make sure that it didn't happen? Right? Don't put it on the drivers. What about the owners? The owners are at fault as well.
And the guy got to get his money.
Yep.
Guy's got to get his money. Okay.
All right, we'll keep this moving. Talk a little bit. We got to shout out our favorite team in red, Toronto FC, of course. They are back in action from Olympic break next weekend. The whole league is back this weekend, but I guess they got a bye week. So they're going to be at Houston next Saturday. Chance to stay in the playoff hunt, although
That's a must-win by now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the road, so I mean, at least you're hoping for a point.
And Houston's not a great team.
No.
So,
but I mean, it's still a road game in soccer, right?
Point well taken. Yeah. Kev, just in case you're interested, my whole year has been just kicking the hell out of Toronto FC. Not that I'm being negative, not that I'm calling them losers. I just think the structure...
They're mid.
What?
They're mid.
Yeah, the way they structured the team, the way they did the signings, and then the product they put on the field has been just this side of a disaster.
I'm a TFC season ticket holder. I have been since year one.
Oh, nice.
It is very frustrating to see. I think there was a lot of optimism coming into a couple of years ago when they brought in Sydney and Bernadeschi. Those two have not translated well to the MLS game, where it's a bit more rough, a bit more like the EPL kind of.
Bernadeschi's been getting some of the results this year, though. Insigne, that just never happened.
No, but they like hanging out in Little Italy.
Not together.
No, not together. Okay, no, that's another thing. Okay, so one guy's on one restaurant and the other one's in the other. But you know, if you go down there, there's sightings of those guys I've heard recently.
Oh.
If you go to Little Italy in Toronto, those guys are... You'll see them on a regular basis, which is cool, I think, because you don't see Toronto Maple Leaf guys walking around the bars all the time.
Well, they're in Yorkville.
Yeah, that's why I can't get in.
You see this with a lot of the players that come internationally to Toronto. Toronto's a world-class city. You have Giovinco, who was here for a long time and loved being here, and probably would have stayed and would have come back if the opportunity was there. But it's been a disappointing season for sure. They've got weaknesses throughout their lineup, and to pay a couple players like that a ton of money, and there's no salary cap on those top three designated players, so you can pay them $100 million. Who cares?
Right.
But they haven't been getting the results.
Well, that's what drives me nuts, because actually, in my opinion, I think that TFC is a little stronger of a franchise than maybe the Argos, and all you have to do is look at the fan attendance at the BMO. So I think that Toronto, having the money that they have to be able to put into the team, is not respecting the crowd that goes down there every week. They're getting, almost 30,000 a game now? I think it's 28.5 is their average attendance this year, I believe.
So I'm probably counted in those numbers, but I have not attended one game this year.
My theory, Mr. Milani, my theory is sitting at the table. We won't talk about what other teams.
Yeah, but you're selling those tickets.
We've probably sold about half of them, so we've already paid enough or made enough for tickets next year. So I think with this, it's all about player development too, right? In the MLS, and you got to find hidden gems somewhere. You can only pay 3 people $1 gazillion. Yeah. So everybody else, you really need to develop, whether it be from within or in your academy or somewhere else through the draft. And it just hasn't really happened in TFC.
Okay, so you guys know this better than me. Who has the Toronto FC developed? Oh, pregnant pause, guys. Who have they developed?
Osorio? He's a Canadian national, so... Okay,
I'll give you the benefit of a doubt there. But as far as I'm concerned, that's enough talk about TFC until they start winning.
Yeah.
Until they start winning, because I'm very disappointed. I thought this was a season that they were going to... Kev, I thought they were going to rear their head again. And they didn't.
Still might. We've seen, there was a few years ago where TFC just barely got in the playoffs and they went all the way to the finals, right?
Optimism lives at the house.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but playoffs, anything could happen.
Optimism lives at the house that happens.
And let me tell you, the atmosphere at BMO Field when that team is rocking,
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing.
it's second to none in Toronto.
I went down with Serge a couple of times, to be honest. Dragged me down with the crew. I don't like going with the crew because of drinking fest. It's not watching the game. Okay, sorry, Serge, but you know that.
It's true.
Okay, it's a drinking fest. But in any event, I was thoroughly impressed by that's why you go to sports, to have that vibe. And a good day at BMO with a winning Toronto FC, that's one of the best vibes in the city, in my humble opinion.
You got it.
And if the Jays are in a pennant race in August, September,
Yeah, and the Leafs just do what the Leafs do. Yeah, okay.
All right, we will move this from TFC to their roommate, so to speak, with the Toronto Argonauts, where they won last Friday, 39-25, over the Calgary Stampeders, redeeming that fourth quarter blown loss that they had in Calgary the week before. And now it's their bye week. Going into that bye week, they are now 5-4, third place in the Eastern Division. The good thing is that the fourth place in the West does not seem to be a threat for the crossover. So it looks like TFC is going to make the playoffs either way. Their next game Thursday against Saskatchewan. However,
we have what would you call an elephant in the room?
Oh, an elephant. That's putting it mildly, sir.
Okay.
Chad Kelly had his meeting with Commissioner Ambrosi on Friday to determine his reinstatement. However, no resolution has seemed to come from that meeting, as the CFO wants to implement a last chance agreement as a condition to his return, but Kelly's rep argues that deprives him of rights under the CBA, which is kind of ironic given the situation.
Okay, this is something that I've had to deal with since this schmuck has put himself into this situation. And I've had to kind of defend him before, but then I retracted it due to the fact that I didn't have all the facts.
Even though all the facts were up from the beginning.
Okay, well, they were alleged. They were alleged, so you can't say I heard alleged a lot.
No one's denying them, though.
No. Obviously, we know what's happened. So first of all, this is a 9-game suspension. This is half.
At least.
Okay, at least now. So, well, it's in a collective bargaining agreement. It's 9 games. So now it's a question of being reinstated. So the bottom line is, according to the rules of the game, he should be able to play the next game. As we know, the holdup seems to be this brand new clause that says, if you stub your toe, you're out of the league.
No, come on. That's disingenuous to say you're stubbing your toe.
Okay, whatever the case may be.
This guy's a liability.
Possibly.
He threatened an employee on the team.
Okay.
Overheard on wanting to fuck him.
Okay.
That's lowest human shit.
Okay, I agree. I don't want to, like I said.
He's a fucking bitch. I'll throw it out there.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't want to defend the guy, but if you are in a court of law.
Which this is not.
Okay, but you're going to still have to go through the CBA.
Okay.
Okay, so when it comes to the CBA, they've never had anything like this before. So they're going to bring up.
They've never had a player like Chad Kelly before.
Point well taken, but I still say I'm having trouble even having this conversation because I do not want to defend the guy because I'm with you. He is a scumbag.
There's also the fact that the league had a psychological assessment done by independent experts.
Alleged.
No, that's not alleged. This is true.
But we heard the facts of what the thing is. I don't want to.
No, I didn't say what the facts were.
Okay.
So don't get ahead of yourself here.
Okay.
But I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that if they're going through this, that maybe the assessment didn't yield the best results for Mr. Kelly.
Okay, so I'm going to say this one more time. At the house that happens, we have established that Chad Kelly is a scumbag. Let's establish that. I'm not.
And a liability.
Okay, and if you want to call him a liability. However.
He is.
Okay.
You can't go threatening around people in the workplace.
That's just horrible.
Any other place of work, you're fucking fired immediately.
Okay, so you think that if he says one more thing, he's out of the league good forever?
Probably.
I just find it interesting because we discussed off before the Trevor Bauer situation, which is completely different. But is kind of okay. But the bottom line is, I think that this would be the problem with this is it would be setting a precedent. And I don't know if if you don't like a guy and suddenly comes in and does this or that, smoking weed.
It's not about smoking weed though. Stop it with this disingenuous talk.
It's about morals.
No, this is about threatening people in the workplace.
Got you. Okay, so now
this falls into sexual assault too.
Close.
No,
okay.
but this was about that, so
I
it does
think
fall
it was
in that
too.
category.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this. I don't like to defend the guy, but I think that it's freaking a slippery slope when you're going to put in something that says, like, this is the spectrum's too wide now. You know what I mean? They could just find a reason, like he could do something drunk at a bar one night. I don't know. So I think it's a precedent that's.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I know, because you're very, very, very firm on your belief in this, and I'm with you. I don't want to go away with that. Well, my point is this: I think it's a slippery slope. Is that you got one individual in a league of 400 or however it is, and this will now be setting precedent for everybody else. So in the future, if somebody does something that they believe is a little sketchy, maybe not on the level of this stuff, because I believe
again, this is not about something that was a little sketchy.
This is very sketchy. But he's got 9 games. He already got his 9 games. Do you think he'll be on the practice field on Sunday?
I'm leaning towards no, the way this is going.
Kev, what's your take on all this?
You know, I've been sitting here watching you guys both, and again, you're right. This will set a precedent for the league. But I think when you have probably the biggest figure in the league, one of the best players in the league, you do need to create a stance for future athletes, for future people in the league to be able to follow. This guy represents the Toronto Argonauts, the CFL. He needs to represent them in a morally correct way. What he has done up to this point is awful, and I do think the league needs to set a precedent for future to ensure that this particular behavior does not happen again.
Interesting point.
I get what you're saying in the terms of it's a slippery slope. That's for lawyers to decide. Mm-hmm. All right? But what they need to do is they need to deter anyone else from acting this way again when you're representing the league on such a high level. I don't want to take this and compare it to the CFL, but if someone like this in the NFL, but if someone like this in the NFL did this, it would be so much more publicized, and I bet you the hammer would come down.
I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying it's being deserved, but some of the things that have come up, it's about, for example, when you go to court, you can only bring in the evidence that is pertinent to the case that's there.
But that's what's happening, though.
But they're also talking about the word reputation. If they take the word reputation...
Well, that's coming from the media.
Okay, perhaps.
That wasn't in the CFL statement.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Let's wait till they make the decision. And if they decide to take it on amoral grounds, I'll accept that because, like I said, I don't want to defend the guy for what he like. Don't think that I'm saying that this guy's some kind of cool ass because he's a piece of shit. Let's cut to the chase.
Yeah, we know
what
that.
he has done is beyond anything here. But then
he makes frat boys look like angels.
Oh yeah, and what they're doing is, unfortunately, which I don't think would be admissible in this CBA thing, is he's been doing this since high school.
Well, and that's
the issue.
Yeah, that's no secret.
Why can't you bring your character reputation into this? This isn't the court like you're saying. This is a league with public image. What
Agreed.
you've done up until this point, and in the era of social media, what you've done and posted 10 years ago, people can access that. So why can't you use his whole body of work as a reference for what he's done? Now, do people deserve a second chance? Yes, only if they're willing to act better, like take responsibility, take it upon themselves to be better going forward. But I don't think he needs to be absolved of what he's done.
No. And you know what? I don't like arguing with Andrew about this because his stance is solid.
And also consider, too, the CFL prides itself on having a family-friendly image. Bring your kids to practice. You can meet the
got
players.
it, yes.
You want little Jimmy and Tina meeting Chad Kelly?
I don't
Probably
know.
not.
Okay,
No.
so the problem is like, we know why he's in the CFL. He's probably got skills that could make him in the NFL. No one's going to touch him, to your point, because they know the history that's there. So I'm going to find it very interesting. I want to find out if he's at practice tomorrow. That's going to be the key to me. If he's not at practice tomorrow, I'm not going to say that they did the wrong thing. I'm just saying that I believe that there's a little bit of a slippery slope on how they settle this. I guess it'll be in the wording. That's what it's all going to boil down. It's going to be in the wording. But
like Kevin said, it's for the lawyers to figure out.
There you go. So we're going to figure that out. But I'm going to be very interested in finding out because here's the other thing that we haven't brought up right now. There is 2 major quarterbacks that are considered above everybody else in this league, and one of them is returning.
Nathan Rourke.
Nathan Rourke
is
is considering. I'm thinking that the CFL needing all the publicity that they can get to enhance their stature in this whole thing called sports, I think it's a weird juxtaposition because here's a welcoming committee for Rourke, which he well deserves, and he's a serious player, but your other guy is in a quagmire shit at the same time. So if you go and take the CFL, what are the top 2 stories?
Chad Kelly and Nathan Rourke.
Chad Kelly and Nathan Rourke, and I just think that's all kind of weird. Let justice be served.
It's just the way it is.
Just the way it is. You know what I mean? I think he's going to be back. Personally.
Eventually.
You know what I mean?
It might take an extra week.
Okay, but I'm going to say the reason he's going to be back is because, and you guys might think I'm wrong, I think he's going to be back because he plays for the Toronto Argonauts.
Oh, of course it's going to be for the Argos if he comes back.
Yeah, but I'm saying because everybody knows the NFL is sniffing around Toronto as a franchise, which I believe is going to be in North Etobicoke. You know how many times I say that. So my take on is that they need Toronto to be a major franchise in the CFL. It drives the CFL more than any other team in the league. So I'm afraid that after all your moral virtues that you brought up, which are very credible, and I agree with you 100%, I still say like it every time you see in sports, the back door opens and the guy comes in because of the play on the field. That's what I ultimately think is going to happen. They'll figure the way out because you don't want the Argos in the playoffs. You don't want the Argos on TV. You don't want the Argos revenue. So there's always that angle that comes into sports. And I'm not saying that's right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's right. So we'll see how this Chad Kelly thing plays out. And if he never plays in the CFL again, I wouldn't feel bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to cry for him.
I'm not going to cry for him either. There's no way. Like we said, if you want to go back to Kev, like you were saying, about all the stuff you can research on the guy, this is going back to high school. Like, you know what I mean? He's at high school.
He went to 3 different colleges for a reason.
Oh, and what schools did he go to?
Clemson, Ole Miss, and there was one more.
Oklahoma or Alabama?
No.
He didn't go. Oh, he went to 3 big schools. He wasn't going to Mercy State.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He wasn't going to whatever. He was like...
Oh, he's got all the talent in the world.
Not all the brain. Not all the
Agreed.
brain. In any event, we're going to leave Chad alone because I don't think he deserves that much. Maybe he'll be reformed. I don't know. I think the bigger story is the Nathan Rourke coming back to BC because I think that definitely changes the balance of power in the league immediately.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like this, I don't think he got a fair shake in the NFL.
No, of course not.
You know,
most guys on like backup practice squad roles don't.
I think it's because he didn't play enough time in the CFL. I think he didn't have enough.
His opportunities in the NFL too. He went to Jacksonville. He was sitting behind Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he didn't really have the best options available. So whether he got a fair kick at the can, I mean, these guys are playing in practice squad and practices. They're throwing a lot of balls. Someone's going to see if he's a decent prospect.
Who did he go to after Jacksonville? Not Atlanta. There was a team in between. Is it Carolina?
New England.
New England. Okay, at the New England camp, it was reported he didn't even get a snap. He didn't get a snap. So how can you judge a guy? You don't even give him a snap. Atlanta signed him because of a favor, or there was some kind of backdoor thing that of a relationship with Nathan Rourke. Oh, by the way, how are you going to bring Nathan Rourke into Atlanta when they've just signed Kirk Cousins and they drafted
Michael Penix Jr.
Michael Penix Jr. So what chance does he have going there? So my theory is this. I think he should have stayed in the CFL for 3 years, won three playoffs of the year.
He's going to go after the money, though, and you can't blame him for that.
Agreed, but he wasn't ready to get the money. He had a spectacular year in the CFL. Don't get me wrong. I think the guy at CFL is amazing. Is the fact that he's Canadian have anything to do with it?
What, that he's getting a role in the CFL?
No, that he's a Canadian citizen.
Oh, that you could just like have him as one of your Canadian players, yeah.
I don't know.
But plus like the CFL is always going to want good quarterbacks. So.
Okay, I'm looking at it in context of the NFL. There's never been a Canadian that started at quarterback, a Canadian citizen that started at quarterback ever.
I don't think that's holding him back in the NFL. If it's just opportunity at the end of the day. There's tons of Americans that don't get the opportunity.
I think that he personally should have stayed here.
Yeah.
And I think because he's only 25, he's still relatively young. So I'm still saying that if he plays 2 years, he could be the Jeff Garcia.
We'll see.
You know what I mean? In any event, let's get the Argos winning because we want to see them. I would not want to see them have to play Ottawa to start playoffs.
No, Ottawa's been a sneaky good team this season.
Especially at home. Are they still undefeated at home, I believe?
I don't know if they're undefeated at home.
I think maybe one loss. But they've been outstanding at home, and they're the surprise team of the CFL this year.
Yeah, agreed.
They're the surprise team, and there's only 9 games left. There's 2 or 3 ahead of the Argos already.
So, We will move this along to the NFL, where obviously we are full swing into training camp, and I think we're just going to do a little bit of a light preview here, just talk about some impressive rookies that have been standing out to us.
You think there's been impressive rookies?
Well, Caleb Williams, number one.
I say Gene Daniels has looked just as good. However, we got to remember this. Drake May playing last night looked amazing. Who are the guys that are playing against on the field?
Second and third teamers at best.
So I'm going to say this. They look like mechanics-wise, structure-wise, reading the defenses. So far, it looks like they got a modicum of what they're doing. Let's see the firing line the first week of the season. Everything changes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't want to jump to conclusions too soon because what's his name that played for Philadelphia last night was the best quarterback in the preseason.
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett was the best quarterback in preseason last year.
Yeah.
Where does that take you?
Yeah, and he's not that good.
And he's not that good. So, guys, we had this discussion. I want to ask you guys. So, the big thing that has come up so far this season has been not even the great quarterbacks that are coming in. There's two other issues that have come up. One of them I want to ask you guys about is the 5th year of a rookie contract. What is going on there? Are they really free agents after 4 years if you make it?
It's up to the team. The team has the option to extend the first. It's only first round picks, and they have the option to extend them for a 5th year. But I believe they pay them at the average of like the top 10 at that position. So it's a significant jump up for the player, but it also gives the team who's drafting a player in the first round an extra year of control. So theoretically, you could be a free agent after the 4th year if you haven't really performed for the first 4 years, but the team has control for 5 years. If they want it.
That was the understanding that they put into the CBA the last time or whenever this came up, because quarterbacks used to be our first-year players, only 3. Remember in the beginning, about 10 years or 12 years ago?
But you could pay them whatever you wanted. Like, I don't know if you remember Sam Bradford back in the day, picked first overall and got a $100 million contract out of the gate.
Caleb Williams is the first guy that's
Caleb
come back.
Williams.
Caleb Williams. He's the first guy that's come back to this $100 million thing. He's the first quarterback that has budged that, because that doesn't happen
if
anymore.
If he plays all 5 years, I think he'd get close to that, but I think it's still well below 100 million.
Of course. So my point is this then. Mr. Milani, explain to Kevin my love of agents.
Oh, it loves agents. Those are his favorite people in the world.
Second.
Right next to lawyers.
Right next to lawyers, okay? So, I think this is an agent-driven thing, which is starting to be, like I've been watching enough and listening to people and done a little research. This is an agent-driven thing because now you're trying to handcuff the organization. What you're doing is, it's already in the CBA. I've got control of you for 5 years, right? All of a sudden, the 5 years, the CD Lambs, the Brandon Ayuks are saying, I ain't coming to practice. Okay, so what does that do? What you're doing is you're forcing the hand of ownership to deal with you when the collective bargaining agreement says, I control you for 5 years. Look what happened to Higgins. Higgins is on the field because he's not going to get you're not going to get your money if you don't play. Brandon Ayuk's in camp now. CD Lamb, they say they're going to sign, but I think this is a weird thing that's going to have to change because 5 years should be 5 years. This is how the agents have crooked this around. Don't go to camp and you'll get your money. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of you having control over a player for 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, there are deterrents against it. I think a player gets fined $50,000 a day if he doesn't show up to training camp. So, I mean, add that up over the course of the season, you're getting close to not getting any of that contract. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I agree. You sign a contract, you should be there for 5 years. Football, you have a bit of a limited window that you can compete. So, on the players' end, they want to cash in when they can. So it's always been a battle of ownership versus players / agents, and it's never going to end.
Do you think the league is going to lower the rookie deals from 5 to 4 years then?
Oh no, I think that what they're going to. I don't think they'll do that at all because you got to think about all the guys that are linemen and cornerbacks, the guys that we don't hear of that are of higher profile. They're getting their 5 years because the number one thing in football is to get your second contract. Any guy that gets drafted, his number one goal is to get a second contract. That's just a gimme, okay? So a lot of these guys are going to take their 5th year and hoping that they can push it on because there's a lot of 5th-year guys that end up going to another team because the salary caps kind of jacks them out like they're going to get there and stuff like that. I think this is agent-driven, and this is why agents make me sick because what they've done is circumvented the rules, in my opinion. So CD Lamb, apparently here, Jerry Jones, I haven't fined him. So what's going on here? You're supposed to have 5-year control over a guy. If he doesn't come to camp, you're supposed to fine him. And one of the owners is going, we're not fining him. What does the rest of the owners think about this? What's going on here?
Yeah, and I'll play devil's advocate a bit and correct myself just a little bit more. So they do have the 5 years of control, but you can also franchise tag someone for 2 years after that. So it's really 7 years. So the thing let's take CeeDee Lamb for an example. He could play this year at his contract and then have no certainty, but they franchise tag him next year. Still has no certainty beyond that year. They can franchise tag him again. So now has no certainty for 3 years, playing year to year. What if he blows out his knee?
Oh, that's where that's the agents coming in again, giving it that angle, which I can't argue with. Football's the shortest career going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I understand that, but I'm still saying let's get back to my point what I was trying to make before. The legality of the situation and how you sign a contract. There should be some kind of validity to that. I'm finding if you're a star player, if you're a defensive lineman, we never hear about this. You either sign for your 5th year or you go to another team.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, but if you're a star, so to speak, like you think of Caleb Williams, if he's outstanding in his first 4 years, you don't think they're going to push him down the line? See, that's where baseball is different.
You lock a quarterback up, though. That's the thing between quarterback and a wide receiver. You lock a quarterback up the moment you can.
Okay, so then the greatest conundrum I've seen of all this is the Cincinnati situation. They got 2 number 1 wide receivers. Higgins is going to get franchise tagged, in my opinion. Chase is going to get his money. You know what I mean? And that's you know what I mean? So that makes me go, this is kind of weird. So Chase is going to get his long term. And as far as I'm concerned, I think Cincinnati, who is a low market team, but they all get the same money, he's going to get franchised. And what does he have? So to your point, then it's back to the slave trade. You know what I mean? So it's a fine line of how you do it. But I still think you have to respect contracts. It's CBA shit.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to go. But I found this year it's more interesting than ever because there's at least 6 or 7 guys that are so-called possibly Pro Bowl NFLers sitting at a camp because they're going, I want my money down the road. And like you say, how many injuries have gone on in practices and in preseason? More than we need to do. So it's a fine line. You know what I mean? I don't know who's saying who's right or wrong. I just think that the agents have found a way to circumvent the rules.
And I'll tell you an easy fix for it. I don't think the owners would ever sign up for this because they'd lose control. Get rid of the franchise tag, and you'll solve your problems. Because now you don't have that mechanism as an owner and as a GM to keep stringing the player along for 2 years after their contract runs out.
That's a very interesting point because I've heard a couple of experts, Charles Davis and a couple of guys have brought that up. Are the owners ever going to think, Andrew, you think they get rid of the franchise tag?
I don't think they want to, but...
How long is this football contract now in, the CBA? It's got another couple of years before they renew?
Yeah, but the owners have so much power that they can essentially dictate what they want. Now, they might dangle that 18th game of the season that we also discussed before, make it an 18-game season. Maybe that's a way to balance that out, but the owners in the NFL have more power than any other sport.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a great lead-in because the other big thing that talking about this year more than ever is the inter-squad practices opposed to a preseason game. Now, it seems to be everybody here at the table seems to think that the inter-squad games are far more significant than the preseason, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
You think so? I just heard this, which blew my mind. A quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, has thrown I don't know how many passes already because he's been full-time in all those inter-squad games. You'd never get those throws in preseason.
No.
Never, because you got some guy from Mercer State who's trying to make it. He's going to come through the line, try to pancake Patrick Mahomes in a preseason game. You don't want that.
No, and in those the team-on-team scrimmages, you still can't really hit the quarterback.
No.
So I think that's the biggest difference. They're usually 7-on-7 as well.
Yeah.
But it allows the skill players to shine. I don't know if you saw the Detroit New York Giants one.
Yes, I did.
Where Malik Neighbors was going at it with the Detroit secondary. It was great to see.
Oh yeah. Well, do you think they'll ever be televised? How do you televise that?
I think you can find a way to do it. Probably it'll be each team doing it on their own networks or whatever, right? But I mean, I think having these practices is great. Just adding a little bit of adversity through preseason, I think that's. I don't think you could spin that as a bad thing. I think that's great. You want that as your team, just something
And the preparation part is what's most interesting to me. The reps. That's the most interesting to me, which leads me to believe. How far away from an 18-game season are we, boys?
Oh, it's got to be within 5 years.
I say less. I say less than 5 years. So how are we going to go about this? You made an interesting point about
An extra bye week?
an extra bye week. Do you think that's how we're going to go through? Because
I think that's I've also heard it proposed that you cap a player's availability at 16 games. That'd be a little tough. I don't think everyone would be able to get on board with that.
no.
But the 2 bye weeks that would have to be the way to go then, and shorten the preseason to just 2 games.
Well, which gets to our original point where they'll have a lot more of those inter-team scrimmages are going to be repaired anyway, correct?
Yeah.
Because what they have to do is they're dancing a fine line because we always hear about player safety. So, and they've got the statistics, how much you play, how many reps you have, blah, 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 blah.
Wait, what's more ironic? The NFL talk about player safety or Chad Kelly talk about his rights being infringed?
Oh, I'm not going to touch that, okay? But in any event, you know where I'm going. Do you think the fact that we go to an 18 game, do you think they'll be wearing those shells during the regular season?
Some players are already choosing to do so. Yeah. Didn't Jonathan Taylor on Indianapolis Colts already decide that he wants to wear one during the season?
So he's going to come out and start the game and he's going to wear a season?
The Guardian helmet, yeah.
Guardian helmet.
Or Guardian cap, sorry.
Okay, here's what I say, the 2 things that I can get used to. I can get used to the new kickoff, and I can get used to guys wearing bubbles on their head.
Yeah.
Still going to be football.
I mean, the new kickoff isn't very exciting, but...
I think there's going to be opportunities where it gets manipulated.
Yeah.
I just think they haven't done it enough, because if you get a speedster and you get that one seam, it's over. It's over. Because you the convergence of the guys is so close. If there's a break, you got a guy like a real speed demon, a Tyreek Hill. Guy like that. And that's 6. Because there's lots of seams. I seen a guy do it, when they get that screen up there and they start marking, because people haven't done it enough. So haven't been able to manipulate the angles you can use to go. But I really think what's interesting is where you got to kick the ball. Because you screw it up, it goes to the 40.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's significant. If you're going to be thinking about manipulating where you're going to try to sneak through the line, you better make sure the ball's landed, because if you screw it up, team starts on a 40. Yeah. That could be quite interesting, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to find out anyways in the ensuing season, which is what, just 21 days away?
We're almost there.
18 days?
Oh, less than 3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks.
Wow.
One more thing before you go. Let's just say that we know this already, but has the NFL absolutely now steamrolled everything in sports in North America? I'm going to say by this. Here's where I'm getting at. Let's look at opening weekend. We got a game Thursday night. We got a game Friday night from Brazil.
Yep.
And we got a full slate on Sunday. And we got Monday Night Football. As a football junkie, I ain't bitching. You know what I mean? And as a retiree who can do whatever he wants, I'm going to get 3 out of 4 nights of football just to start the season. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, they're really looking to dominate as many nights as they can. I'm glad they took away that second Monday night game on the opening weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And now they have the Friday, the international series in Brazil, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be... I mean, we talk about NFL 365 days a year. There might be a small break between the Super Bowl and free agency, which is about a month long. Other than that, the NFL owns the off season. They own the regular season. I mean, why not put it on 4 nights a week?
Well, the reason that I brought it up this week is because the NBA, did you see their press conference this week? They had a massive press conference in a splash about what they're going to do on Christmas Day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the NBA did their schedule release this year.
And the
this
games
week.
they marqueed, and then we're going to marquee, because guess who's else is playing sports on Christmas Day now?
The NFL. I know what I'm watching Christmas Day. It's not basketball.
Okay. I mean, I have an advantage of doing more than that, but if it came down to which game I'm going to watch, come on, guys. We know what we're watching.
Oh, last year I was watching the Kansas City Vegas game at my grandparents' house on Christmas. So
there you go.
Yeah.
We know how that's going to work. It's called the greatest monolith in the world, and I know soccer is probably the most popular in the world.
Oh, it is. Okay,
we know that because of the worldwide thing, but in my opinion, and I'm starting to believe it, there is no league run better than the NFL in the world. No league. I'll give you La Liga, the Bundesliga, the
Bundesliga.
whatever which we don't even know about, which is insanely popular, the Australian Rules Football League. That's massive there in Australia. But no league, in my opinion, is run better, makes more money, and is now getting an international flavor more than ever.
When you look at the annual viewership, so you take the top 10 most viewed shows in North America every year, the top 10 are always NFL. So you got the Super Bowl, you have other things. I think for a while when Walking Dead was really popular, like they were jumping up into number 10, but it's the NFL.
In the last 2 years, there's only one night, top 10 shows of the year, and this really blew my mind. One program snuck into the top 10, and it was WWE.
Oh, that's a shame.
Next question.
Yeah. We're already an hour into the show.
Oh, okay,
so I guess we can move this along.
Yep.
We'll move this into football to, I guess, real football. Go and talk about soccer in Europe is starting this week. Notably, Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, and Ligue 1 are all starting up this weekend. Man City, Napoli, Madrid, and PSG are all the defending champs coming into the season. Bayer Leverkusen, too, in Bundesliga, but they don't start till next weekend. Manchester United, Fulham opened the season yesterday for the Premier League with Man U winning 1-0 off of Joshua Zirkzee goal in the 87th minute. I'm looking forward to Sunday, though. Chelsea, Man City. It's going to be the premier match to watch on Sunday. I'm going to have to find a way to stream that, not quite legally, because I don't have Fubo, but that's the way it goes.
I got a box.
Oh, I know you do.
I got a box. I already seen that on there.
What are you doing Sunday morning? I think I'll come by now.
Okay. I don't know. That's a possibility. Can I? Okay, continue.
Milan Torino is the big one today for Serie A. We've got Valencia Barcelona. It's a big matchup in the Liga today. Havre PSG opened the season yesterday for Ligue 1 with PSG blowing them out 4-1 with Dembele scoring the winner in the 85th minute. Well, Le Havre, who's ever heard of them? And then, like I said before, Bundesliga starts next weekend. So we will be keeping an eye on all those leagues as we try and grow our soccer portfolio here on The House That Happens.
Oh, definitely. I just realized that there's a Netflix thing about La Liga. I did not know.
Oh, like a Drive to Survive kind of thing?
I think it's on there now. I'm going to be taking a look at that. But I want to ask you a question. Kev, you're a bit of a European soccer guy, aren't you?
I follow enough.
Yeah. I heard something yesterday, and maybe you can clear this up for me, but someone said that the owner of Chelsea might be the biggest asshole in the history of owners. I thought, that's a bold statement that you're saying. Wait, he has 40 players under contract, and he won't let any of them go.
Damn.
40 players, guys, that are all could play on a Premier League team in Europe. He's got 40 of these guys. How many, and once you own them, right? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, you have to sell them off, essentially.
They
unless their contract runs out, they can go as free agents. But
all these guys are under contract to Chelsea. People have knocked on the door because, that selling thing or however they do the player. He's rejected everybody.
So, back to our NFL comment. These players sign contracts with Chelsea. It's Chelsea's responsibility to play them or not play them, to trade them or not trade them. Or I guess in European football, sell them.
So I guess he's not an asshole?
But in soccer, it's a little bit different where it's usually understood that if you are like a first-team player somewhere else, like the team will sell you.
Okay, so what I understood was this, is the guy that was explaining it said there is at least 8 players that will not get on the field in the first 3 or 4 games at Chelsea that would start for any other team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's 8 guys. You're already fielding a team, and you're telling me you got 8 guys under contract that could be playing for any other team? That's got to be a little bit of something.
Yeah, because how are you going to find playing time for all these guys?
You
too?
can't.
That's
40 guys. So is he being a schmuck?
Yeah, he is being a schmuck.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that because I've never heard about. I always know about this transfer, and you got to buy the player, and if you own him, you sell him, and all that kind of things. Sounds like a cattle run to me, but probably
it's weird too because if you get sold, that nullifies your contract, and you got to renegotiate with the team that bought you.
Yeah, that's different. I guess that's tradition in Europe. I've had a lot of talk about that during the Euro.
That's the way they do it in FIFA.
That's what
even
I'm
MLS technically.
Yes, I understood a lot of nuances about the sport. I wasn't really noticing, but I took a keen eye to watching Euro and Copa, And it's those little minutia about the game, Kev, that just make me go, what?
Players are commodities, right? It's like a stock market. If you're ever interested, go into a website called Transfer Market, and it'll actually show you the current perceived values of every player in the world.
What's that called again?
Transfer Market.
Transfer Market.
Is this like Puckpedia?
It would be. You guys talk about Puckpedia and Cap Friendly.
Yeah, okay.
RIP Cap Friendly. But Transfer Market, you can go into club profiles, national team profiles, and it will really show you the value of every player. And it's a transfer market.
Okay. I'm going to check that out because one of the great things about doing this podcast is you can educate yourself with the assistance of someone like my producer, who will open up a door and say, go in there and check what's going out. And that's why you learn more, you know what I mean? And I would like to understand more about the Premier League, because I'm not saying the Premier League is run as well as the NFL, but on a world, but no, I don't think it's run as well. I disagree. The popularity.
I didn't say it was run as well. I said it was close.
Yeah, but the popularity.
It soars past the NFL.
That's what I'm saying, because they got worldwide, NFL does. And hence the reason why NFL is going to Brazil and all these other places and stuff like that. So anyways, I think what you should do is, what we're going to do is I'm going to take a look at all of these games. And next week I'm going to come back with some probably half-baked conclusions about what's going on in the Premier League.
Yeah, I want to know what you think about that Chelsea-Man City game. But
I'm a Man City guy. I'm a Man City guy. Speaking of Man City, isn't that, it looks like I had, here comes an Argo guy, if we knew him, if we've ever seen one. Hey, Nick, Chad Kelly going to be at practice on Sunday?
No.
There we go.
Season ticket holder.
The league doesn't want him to play.
Interesting take.
Okay. We'll move this along to, I guess that's it for soccer.
Yeah.
We'll move this along to the NHL, where, of course, the big news this week was Austin Matthews being named the 26th captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Stop. Kev, you got to understand one thing about this right now. I have to stop. This is a Toronto Maple Leaf report. You can't have a podcast in Toronto with this 365 days a week.
Then why are you stopping me?
Because I want him to understand the significance of the Toronto Maple Leaf report. Continue, sir.
Oh, am I allowed to speak now?
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead.
Matthews named captain. That's it. That's the news.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because I'm, as you know, he thinks I'm anti-Leaf. I'm really not.
I never said that.
Okay, not anti-Leaf. Okay, so I'm the devil's advocate. You know what I'm saying? Comes the Leafs. Okay. What did you think about the Dog and Pony Show press conference with Tavares and Matthews and Tree Living in the whole gang? What did you think of that press conference?
Well, I mean, I thought it was classily done. Like, Tavares, handing him over the jersey. Tavares' kids had the Matthews jerseys on. It was a classy way to do it.
But I thought it was good. Kev,
I think it's some pressure off Tavares, which, I mean, granted. I mean, whatever. The captaincy in hockey, I've said this millions of times on the show, it's more of a symbolic thing than anything. If your locker room is together, I don't think it really matters who's wearing the C on your jersey. It's a symbolic thing. Matthew's going to have to field more of the questions. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
Andrew, you're completely right. We're going into a contract year for John Tavares. The media is already saying, he should accept between $3.5 and $5 million if he wants to stay a Leaf. He's going to be hearing this all year. Yeah. A captain can't be fielding the questions about their contract. Matthews is here for the next 4. He's the face of the franchise. Give him the captaincy. Let Johnny kind of work on his game. Hopefully there's a career for him in Toronto after this contract expires.
I do too.
It cannot be at the same average annual value that he has right now. That's absurd.
Probably like 7, I would say.
But absolutely, let them work on that. Let him just be part of the team. He's still going to be an assistant captain, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like an alternate captain. He's still going to be there. He's still going to be an integral part of the team. I think
still a leader on the team.
Yeah, I think it's the right move.
Oh, I do too, and I think that's one of the angles that I was looking at when I was seeing the press conference this week is, like you said, you can't have a guy that's going to have his contract being renewed, and every week they're saying, you have a bad game, you're going to be here next year, Tavares? Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard mixed reports. Some people say they should break up the core 4 and he's going to be leaving town. I think he's a very productive player. He's still only 34 years old. There's nothing wrong with his two-way game. He might not give you 100 points, but he'll still give you 70, 75, and he'll be out there killing some penalties or whatever.
No,
the
he
case
doesn't
is.
kill penalties.
Well, whatever. He'll play his D. But I'm saying that I thought it was, to your case, I thought it was very well done. I thought it was very classy because you hand the baton on. There was no animosity. There's no rumblings that the media can create to stir up, just to make content about what's going on in the dressing room. So the Leafs have debunked all that immediately, which I think is an amazing move on their part.
And it was the one time you saw an ounce of emotion for Matthews. That surprised me too.
Well, that it's a big thing. He's saying he wants to be a Leaf for life.
Which I love to hear that.
Of course you do. Any guy wants to do that. But you got to remember this. Matthew has never been, and I think this time will prove it. I don't know what Matthew says in the dressing room. I just know he's the best goal scorer on the planet. Agree?
And how great is it going to be when Matthews 10 years from now passes Alex Ovechkin for most goals ever in NHL history?
Who is this guy?
He's on pace to do so.
You see that? You see that double foreshadowing?
Okay, I'm surrounded by Leaf people. I'll just have to deal with this for now.
You're no Ovechkin guy yourself, so
What's
stop.
that?
You're no Ovechkin guy yourself.
I'm not even talking about that. Ovechkin who? I'm hoping he doesn't pass Gretzky, but
He will in a couple years.
He better do it this year, I think, because this last year of his contract.
He'll do the Yager thing until he does it.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be around until he breaks the record.
Okay, so now we've all agreed that was a great move for Toronto. It's great for the city.
One that I called earlier on the year, too, and you were, shoving me to the side.
It's kind of, sort of. I wasn't really picking on it. But
No, you didn't want to hear it. Let's call a spade a spade.
Okay, yes, okay. I was playing hearts that day then, okay, Kev? Can I put it to you that way? Now, what I want to bring up is, because I broke in there, I'm sorry for interrupting you at the time. But, Kev, this is the Toronto Maple Leaf Report. So at this point in time, I'm going to do something that actually says I don't understand, and I'm going to defend the Toronto Maple Leafs, okay? This week, they had put forth. We should tell them about
NHL Network.
NHL. Anyways, if you've been listening to the show, one of the things that him and I have a lot of difficulty with is lists. Who makes these lists? How do these lists get credible? Can we show you the people that have been involved in the list?
What are the criteria for the list?
What is the criterion for the list? So,
do the people actually follow the criteria?
So you can say Melanie and Cruz have difficulty with lists. Well, the new list came out this week, and I just went, was this, Charlie Brown and Mladen, and this guy made up the list because the word was, what are the top organizations in hockey as we speak today, kind of defined on what they've been doing in the last 5 years. The number one team was Florida. Okay,
hard to argue with that.
Hard to argue with that.
They just won the Stanley Cup.
Two years
finals in a row.
Two finals in a row. Recency bias, but man, that's a really good last 2 years.
President's Trophy the year before those two finals. So
there you go. So now, do you have any idea what place the Toronto Maple Leafs were on this list?
I got to say somewhere right in the middle, 15.
30th. How in the hell does that happen?
And where was Utah?
Oh, number 4 or number 6. Columbus was ahead of Toronto. Wait a second. Columbus, Toronto. Now, let's just say if your criteria is last 5 years, we've discussed this. Who has the longest streak of making the playoffs in a row in the NHL right now?
It's Toronto and Boston.
Yeah.
So you've made the playoffs 8 years in a row. What has Columbus done lately?
Not much.
Oh, by the way, Vegas was like 20th.
I would have thought Vegas would have been top 5 given how they've gone since they've been a team.
Well, the problem was that they let the fans in on this list too.
Yes, it was fans
Who do
and
the fans
executives.
hate more than Toronto and Vegas? Not many teams.
Well, then Edmonton was like number 29.
Another hateable team.
So my point in bringing up the list is, this is why we like to bring this up, is if you can give us the facts, it's like when you're voting for what they should do when you vote for the Hall of Fame. Your name has to be, you got publicly shown what you've got to do. From now on, if you're going to put out any of these lists, like all the factors that you have said, and then let's just see who is doing this stuff, because all it does is what? Give us content.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
fodder.
Just fodder.
If you want to talk about how many empty seats at the start of the second period after the first intermission, sure, Toronto's 30th because everyone's still having a beer down underneath in the corporate seats, but it's completely unexcusable to say a team that's made the playoffs for so long, a team that, I get it, they haven't won a Stanley Cup in a long time, but the amount of money they invest into their team, their fan base, again, their consistency, that's hard to...
A lot of people are saying it's blowback because you said to the fans, because there's the argument about the core 4, which we could argue about till the cows come home, good, bad, or ugly. But the bottom line is, I'm not running down to the Scotiabank Arena to freaking tie anybody's skates. However, I have respect for an organization that has had a string together like the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can't deny what they're doing.
Well, and the fact that Edmonton is 29th, too, that's ridiculous.
Whatever it is, the Toronto and Edmonton are in the bottom 5 of this list. And when I seen Utah was either 4th or 6th, well, I guess we could go and fact check where it is. My beloved, no, it had to be before. My beloved Montreal Canadiens were 6th. And I went, whoa, wait a second here. We're looking good of late and where we're going, but number 6, we haven't made the playoffs in 2 years.
Yeah, I could see the Utah comment. Everyone's really in love with their owner right now,
he's
Ryan
a great
Smith.
guy.
He's a great owner,
guy.
and everything he's done so far has been top notch. Montreal's up and coming team. I mean,
but do you think they deserve to be in the top 10?
No,
I'm a disciple.
No.
I mean, other than that last run they made to the bubble year to the Stanley Cup Finals, they haven't done much.
That's what I'm saying. So anyways, I just want to throw the list out the window completely.
But
throw that baby out with the bathwater.
You got it 100%.
But people love reading about and hearing lists, and I think that's the big thing. I know you talk about lists. Whenever I see a list of like top 30 players,
I do too.
I go and look at it. I skim through it, and I see what that author, their perspective.
I do too. I don't always finish the list if I see some entries there.
Me too. I go, come on.
Suspicious.
What you're going to say there, but Kev, you know what I forgot to shout out? The juror in the Montreal Canadian hat. How can I forget him?
Not just the juror.
Ended up being the foreman.
The foreman of the trial.
Whoever you are, buddy, I'm giving you the biggest shout out ever. I seen you were the greatest omen. If you believe in omens, he was number 1. When he came out, remember me? I was going, whoa! Kev was there to witness this. Okay, so, and how he had his hat coming in, eh? Got it off quickly.
That's odd.
Very odd. And I just said, omen right away. But anyways, Kev, I don't know where you are on how you rank players in the league. But Mr. Milani and I have a contentious belief in your value to the team. So something that he's going to spit in the ground in about 10 seconds when I mention this, the NHL is coming out with their top 20 forward wingers, top 20 centers, top 20 defensemen. Just so happened this year that the number 1 ranked winger by the NHL Network is one of the guys that he loves so much, which is Nikita Kucherov, the number 1 winger. What do you think? What's your take on Kucherov being said to be the number 1 winger in the NHL?
So, well, first of all, winger and center, there's a lot of guys that go back and forth between the two. Nikita Kucherov himself, I mean, he's got a track record of performing. He's won, what do they have, 2 Stanley Cups over the 4-year period, and he was instrumental to that. Is there a better winger? When I think of the best players in the NHL, they're all really centers. You have your Matthews, McDavid,
This is just
McKinnon.
the best. They're going to do a best center list. This right now is the best winger list.
I don't have a problem with Kucherov being named the best winger. I have a problem when people say he's better than Matthews, he's better than Draisaitl, he's better than McKinnon.
I don't even know if he's the best winger in the league, really. But he had the 100-point season.
Who would be your number 1 winger?
I got to think about it for a second.
It's because he may not be the best player, because when you go through the best players, they're all centers.
No. I would probably find 5 centers that are probably better than him as a player. However, when you went down the list, the first thing that I noticed after that was Nylander was number 8 and Matthews was number 10. Marner was number 10. And I went, that's kind of odd, isn't it? Because Nylander had a breakout season? I mean, if I had to pick between the two of them, I'm taking Marner. Personally, if you know what I mean, you can only have Marner or Nylander. I'm taking Marner. What do you say?
After last season, it's tough to pick Marner above.
Oh, gee.
Because Nylander can play penalty kill now, too, don't forget.
Okay, I'll give him that. But you take Nylander over Marner?
Right now, yes.
What's the date today, Kev?
Was it August
17th? I want to
we just talked about soccer players and commodities, and your price goes up, your value goes up and down, the perception. Nylander's perception is higher right now. He just delivered a really strong playoff series against Boston. He had a really good season. Marner did not.
Marner had a good regular season.
Not really by his standards, though.
He had that nagging injury in the beginning, and then when he kicked into full gear, he was back to Marner. You know what I mean? I love this. You're kicking Marner. August
I'm not kicking
17th. I've never heard him talk like Marner like this before. This is all new to me.
It's interesting that Marner's also in a contract year, so you gotta bring down his value just a little bit. Hopefully, he takes a couple $100,000 less to sign. Nylander's here for the foreseeable future, right? So
100%. What do you think that Marner? Like, he's coming to camp, and he's going to score 30 points in the first 20 games.
I think there's a good chance he does break 100 points finally this season.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you do then? Does this become the albatross on the Leafs all season? Is that all we're going to hear? Marner. Oh, gee.
At least up until he's going to be signed around Christmas time.
The Nylander deal? The same thing? Do you think Marner would take $10 million to stay in Toronto?
I think he wants more. I think that's the issue.
Wow.
Because his last contract, or the one he's on now, was, 10.9?
The thing about that, people said that was a gamble because it was so early in his career to give him that much money at a time, but he actually ended up playing up to the strength of his contract. The key with Marner right now is how many guys, he's turning 27 this year. He's in the prime of his career. How many guys get to land in the prime of their career as an unrestricted free agent?
Well, the way hockey is, most of them.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Especially the guys at his caliber, yeah.
But they go to free agency?
Well, you have the opportunity, at least.
I always find that most guys get signed before they get there.
Okay, but yet they have the opportunity to go there if they want, is my point.
Oh, okay, yeah. But do you think Marner will go there? I think it's going to be an interesting season because I think that Mitch Marner, personally, is the most maligned sports personality in the GTA.
And again, he just had a season that was below his standards. So we can't take down Nylander here. Nylander almost had 100 points this past year.
Yeah, well, what did Marner have? 80?
Yeah, he was 80,
That's
85.
a big difference.
Missed 10 games.
Being able to stay healthy is an ability, right?
Well, that's the first time he's ever missed 10 games. Nylander's missed 10 games before. Okay, so I'm just thinking it's interesting now that
But Nylander's numbers have also been getting better and better every season.
Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that. But I'm just saying because, the reason I didn't mean to interrupt Andrew, but I'm just saying, it's the Toronto Maple Leaf report. Man, this is the city of Toronto. The Leafs never go away. The Leafs never sleep. I hear about them all the time. So, with that being said, shouldn't we just take a left turn about a couple other things that are going on in the NHL?
Well, there's also one thing kind of about the Leafs where Linus Ullmark did an interview where he decided to throw Ilya Samsonov under the bus, saying he was surprised that the Leafs kept starting Samsonov. And even after he's gone, he still catches strays. And I just can't help but feeling bad for Samsonov.
I'm not feeling bad for him, but Ullmark's
he's being kicked when he's down. Come on.
Ullmark's
that's not cool.
that kind of guy.
Even though he's been called the nicest guy in the league before, which is ironic.
No, I just think that because don't they have some competitive shit from back in the day? Because they're about the same age, aren't they?
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, but I heard somewhere something about.
Ullmark's probably a little older though.
Yeah, but they cross paths on the other side of the pond. So I think that.
Do you think it's about that?
You know what? When it was whispered that there was something going on back in the day, some people hold grudges for a long time.
Oh,
or if somebody doesn't like somebody, if they get a chance to kick them when they're down, they're going to kick them. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
But what Samsonov care? He's got a job.
Yeah.
Samsonov gave the Leafs the best chance to win. Now, was it better than having a goalie from other goalies in the NHL? Absolutely not. But the Leafs didn't have another option, so you have no choice but to start.
Well, in Game 7 they didn't, but earlier in their season it was argued that you could have started Wall and they would have given them better results.
Yeah, right. But he got hurt.
Wall's another
in
one.
Game 7 I'm saying, but earlier in the season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear it.
Because there were people earlier in the season calling for why aren't we going to Wall yet? Why aren't we going to Wall yet?
Yeah, point well taken.
Well, we went to Wall.
We went to Wall. There's something else that has come up in the league this year. I know I'm going to step on his toes for a second here, but we talked about this too, Kev. I don't know if we brought it up to you. I found it very interesting, and this is now another thing about morals. Okay, I guess there's something we could work morals into the name of this show somewhere. I know you can be creative about that.
Actually, I already have the title set up. So.
Okay, so that's good. But anyways, Kev, did you realize that two of the guys that just got sexually assault charges pending against them here in Canada have jumped upon and signed in the KHL?
McLeod and
Dylan Dubé. Both guys, what do you think about that?
I think if you're accused of something and need to stand trial, you should have your passport revoked.
Did we not just hear that? Did we just not hear that? Okay, that's a realistic thing that you're saying there. But I don't think, when it's going into court though, it's not another court for another year, right?
At
I
least.
think that's why they're getting away with it, because the court date's next summer.
Presumption of innocence, right?
Yeah.
You're innocent
Yeah.
until proven guilty. So I know these individuals were part of a really, really terrible,
Oh, come on.
multiple things that happened within those Canadian teams. But yeah, it's
They
probably,
went to the KHL. So my question is this: is this because a man needs a paycheck?
I mean, for them, yeah. They want to be, whatever, you want to still have a job. What are they going to do? Just like sit around at home, go play golf every day? Like,
Okay, it's obviously the NHL is not going to let him play.
obviously not.
Okay, so that's where we're at here. I just found it very interesting when it came up on that ticker, and I went, "Whoa, those guys!" But nobody's really.
Yeah, but people were calling for that. Like the day, like this, they're like, oh, they're going to find jobs in the KHL.
True. I
I
just
don't know.
think
It's not surprising.
it's a risk for them. Like what if it's another Brittany Griner situation where they just get held for the wrong thing? They look the wrong person in the wrong direction.
Well, I mean, the Brittany Griner thing, she was caught with a vape pen.
Yeah, vape pen. Yeah,
Don't bring a vape pen to Russia,
Russia,
guys. I just find it interesting that we talked about this previously. A professional athlete's career is so damn short that you got to cash in on any possibility. So like you said, they can't sit around the year. Like these guys are what? Still not 25.
Yeah, they're still pretty young.
They're still pretty young. So let justice be served, and if they go to the KHL, they go to the KHL. Is not are you speaking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big news this week was that the St. Louis Blues offer sheeted two players from Edmonton, Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. Kind of similar deals, except Broberg got essentially double of what Holloway got offer sheeted. Now that puts Edmonton in quite the pickle because they're already over the cap. Now they had two young guys that are getting well above market value. And as a result, Edmonton's now exploring trades for Cody Ceci and Brett Kulak.
What do you think, Kev?
So this was a smart move by the St. Louis Blues. It's interesting too that Armstrong, the head on St. Louis, they've got Chiarelli now. There's a lot of animosity, and now that Holland's out in Edmonton, and Holland and Armstrong just went on a golf trip together a week or two ago.
I did not know that.
It's really interesting to see all these things come together. Now let's look at the hockey angle here. Edmonton's way over the cap. They can get under the cap if they put Evander Kane on the LTIR. So I think, and to your point, trade if they get rid of CC and someone else.
Yeah.
So they can get back down. But I mean, it might be a win-win too.
I don't know. Kane looked pretty healthy at McDavid's wedding this week, though. So.
That was word around the campfire. That's interesting you said that, because I've heard pundits say just put him on the LTR.
I don't think it's that easy.
No,
Me
it's not.
either, especially after you've seen, well, like, how do you do it? Like, and not only that, he was golfing at the pre-wedding golf thing.
So if I'm Edmonton,
That's an interesting point.
Take the second and third pick, use that for ammunition toward the trade deadline. I mean, these aren't generational talent you're losing.
But these were significant pieces of part of their playoff run, especially Holloway, though. And Broberg is a pretty promising defenseman, so that's a tough pill to swallow.
You know what? I think I'm going with the animosity issue here, because it's so rare that this happens in the NHL, because these guys are all on the golf courses together. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Well, and who's GM of Edmonton now?
Ooh,
I think
everybody's
he's got
favorite.
some history with Doug Armstrong.
He does.
Oh, what do you think?
Bowman and Armstrong, I don't think see eye to eye.
Oh, no, that's the bottom line. Like, no one's going to be able to say that, because that's something you can't prove. But come on, Dougie Armstrong said, and they're competing in the same conference. Come on.
They're in the same division.
Same division, yeah. Like,
Chicago
come on.
and St. Louis.
Let's talk about this here. There's more to this than meets the eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what it does is it takes away. They're kicking at Edmonton's competitive balance, so to speak, because like you said, I agreed with this. When I know the kid's going to be probably a good player, but it's the Holloway guy that I'm thinking of. He does not necessarily a generational player, but you know those glue guys on your team. He scored an overtime goal. He killed all those penalties. One of the reasons Edmonton got to the finals is because they had the best penalty kill in the league.
He's the guy you want in your bottom six.
Yeah, he's a great, you know what I mean? And you need this guy. And when I was watching in the playoffs, I noticed Holloway.
Yeah, he did not look at a place in the Florida series.
No.
Either of them, and they were two of the reasons they got to where they were. I do think they will end up signing one. I'm actually surprised not more teams go this route in the offer sheet. Like, it's a tool they have in their tool belt that no one uses. It's more of a gentleman's agreement not to do it.
I think it's because the NHL, like the GMs, it's too much of a boys' club. It's like a handshake, whatever agreement is like,
Nudge,
I won't
nudge,
touch your guys, you
wink,
won't
wink.
touch my guys, unless someone pisses someone off, like the Carolina-Montreal situation.
That was there. And this is starting to smell like the same thing when you're talking about Armstrong and Bowman. This is starting to smell like the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? We don't have to call in Colombo to give us any clues. It's just there in our face. But I respect the fact that people don't come out and directly say that, because that becomes hearsay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not that we're saying hearsay. We're just saying we're adding pieces to the puzzle and saying, this looks interesting, because it really does back. Like, I went to Puckpedia and I said, "Ooh, Edmonton, you got some issues here." Whereas St. Louis has got
tons of cap space.
Tons of space to play the game it is. So to your point, Kev, which when you just said that, why don't they do it more? If you have the cap space to do it, why not be a prick and say, I want my team to be better?
We see it happen all the time in the NBA.
Every day. Every day we see it.
Yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity. This might open the floodgates for things for their GMs to do this in the future.
Well, they haven't done it. This is the first time it's been happening, except for when Kotkaniemi and Aho.
Kotkaniemi,
Now, there's been a couple of guys. It has happened. I heard a couple of guys are saying it has happened in lower level guys that we never really hear about. Like your uncle is the general manager of St. Louis, and I'm the Montreal guy, and I got a guy that's way down here. I'm not sure what they're due. They offer him an offer sheet, but it has no big effect on the cap. It's more of a personal thing that goes on instead of a structural or competitive thing.
Like guys being offer sheeted?
Very low. They were
I don't think so.
There was a couple of guys a couple of years ago I've never even heard of that got offer sheets. We should look it up on Puckpedia or something. I forget where it was. One guy never made it to the NHL.
Yeah, those guys, if it's below $1 million, I don't even think there's any draft pick compensation for those guys.
I don't even think there was. That's why it didn't come up, I believe. That's the point I think it was, because there was no draft pick compensation. That's why we never hear about them.
Well, and a lot of those guys, too, like they just end up just not getting tendered if the old team isn't interested anyways, right? So
interesting.
And they just become UFAs.
How you doing? By the way, step up to the microphone. This is the picture of the first place bye in the playoffs, San Francisco Sluggers.
Just call me Cy.
Woo! Pedro, love it. Love it.
Just one more thing for hockey. Ryan Getzlaf joining the Department of Player Safety. I put safety in quotes there in the notes. I don't know if you noticed that.
That's Ryan Getzlaf.
Joining his buddy George Peros, former teammates with the Anaheim Ducks.
Why am I laughing? Why am I laughing?
We know why. There's no consistency.
Oh, come on. I think it's a nice PR move.
Sure, everyone loves Ryan Getzlaf.
Yeah, like he was the cleanest player that ever played the game.
Well, it wasn't as dirty as his line mate, so it made him look a little nicer.
Well, that's why he got away with more, because he knew what was going on. You know what I mean? And that's the history of the NHL in a nutcap, so to speak.
So we can move this along, I guess. We're already an hour and a half in. Wow. Next on the docket is Major League Baseball. But before we talk about our beloved Toronto Blue Jays, there's been a proposal floating out there for a 6-inning minimum for starting pitchers. What do you guys think about that?
I don't think there's any way you can do that with guys' arms falling off at an accelerated rate. Like, what happens if they pitch 100 pitches in the first 4 innings? What if the team's getting blown out?
Yeah, exactly.
I like the theory of it, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to give some validity back to the starting pitcher. So if the guy has a hiccup, you yank him right away. So the guy never gets his chance to put his inning in. My personal opinion is this a little bit agent-driven again, because then you're going to be able to say you had this many starts with this many innings. So when you go in to get your contract, it works good. That's the only way I see it.
I didn't even think about it.
That's how I thought about it. You know, is there anything wrong with my thinking?
Isn't this coming more from the league, I thought?
I don't know where it came from. I really don't.
I think this is coming from the league.
I personally like the idea because I seen Jim Catt. I don't know if you know who Jim Catt is. He's not in the Hall of Fame. His record's like 269 wins and 240 losses. Okay, and he had an interesting point.
Wins isn't a pitcher stat. It's a team stat, but okay.
Okay, but any event, and he pitched from like late in the 60s to the early 80s, okay? What his point was this, and I thought it was very interesting. He said, the analytics in baseball, they're asking where it's going. He said, I really like the added information that I could use for preparation for a game would be very valuable to me because we didn't have all of that back in the day, which is cool. However, he said, what happens in this situation? Every time you get a guy on first and third and one out, you yank him. When does a guy learn to figure out how to get himself out of a first and third with one out?
Well, that's what the minor leagues in college and high school are for.
No, they never do it there. They don't do it there. It's all about the velocity and stuff. What he says is the old school guys would come out to him and say this, hey, kid, this man on first and third, one out. What are you going to give me? Back to the dugout they'd go. He said sometimes you failed, sometimes you succeeded. But what you did is it developed you as a pitcher instead of a thrower. So I think the 6-inning thing is an idea of making pitchers become more pitchers instead of throwers. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be really hard to enforce. Where if there is a guy like getting blown out, or if he is throwing a lot of pitches, they'll just like fake an injury anyways.
Oh, that's what I say. And I don't think it gets back to this. I never liked they changed how much a relief pitcher can come in and out.
Oh, the 3 outs. If you come in.
I've never agreed with that. That's what takes away from the essence of baseball. Mm-hmm. If you want to use 16 guys in one inning, that's your prerogative.
Well, that became a time issue, though, because, like...
Yes, okay, I know that, too. But
we can't spend 5 hours at the ballpark. We got to work the next day.
I agree. I'm seeing it there. But I'm still saying the essence of baseball should be allowed. Like, I was not agreeing with when they said no more shift. I was the one that said, I don't agree with that. If I want to put 9 guys on the right field line, that should be my prerogative. I don't think it'll be a successful move, but I think in baseball that
you should be allowed.
You should be allowed. And I think that this is one of those issues where it's taking away from the should be allowed.
Yeah, and you see a lot of teams using openers now. That would completely go away, where they use the guy for the one or 2 innings. I don't think it has any legs. I don't think the agents and players will like it because it could lead to more injuries and
I'm not on board with the injury stuff. I'm having issues with the injury stuff. In my opinion, the injuries are occurring because of the high school college shit, because all they want is scouts to come in and hear you pop the glove. They're not looking to see what your pitcher. They want to hear the pop in the glove.
It's the pitches that they're throwing to, like the slurve and whatever now, like those pitches that just like destroy your elbow.
Well, because it's not a natural pitching motion. Yeah. I understand that, but the thing is, like, you don't use it every game. Pedro Martinez had that funky ass pitch he threw, but he only threw 4 times a game.
Well, he lived off his changeup.
Yeah,
he had one of the best changeups in the league. That's not going to
but he had a slur too. But he said because he's always on MLB Network. He said I had this pitch in my back pocket, but he goes, that was stress on my elbow. But he used it.
But he was a little guy too.
Yeah, and but he used it at pertinent times because nobody expected him to throw it. I call that pitching, not throwing.
Wow, you're actually throwing Pedro Martinez a compliment.
I try not to do that.
It's the first time for everything on the house that happens.
I'm not complimenting. I'm just saying that he said this, so I'll relay the message. When did I ever going to be just on record? I'm not a Pedro Martinez guy.
Interesting. I think he's one of the top 5 pitchers.
5-inning pitcher. He's one of the best 5-inning pitchers.
Of the modern era, though.
He's one of the best 5-inning pitchers.
I believe he's one of the 5 best pitchers of all time.
I think he's one of the best 5-inning pitchers. But that's another story. That's just my opinion. But anyways,
your opinion's wrong.
I'm with you. I don't think this 6-inning thing's going to go anywhere.
No, it's got no legs.
You know what I mean? And baseball's already altered too many things that have made us traditionalists think what's going on here, right? Yeah. I'm not agreeing. You know, one of the things that I really thought was weird, but now I'm totally get it once you see it in there, is the pitch clock. The pitch clock is very pertinent. And even Jim Cap brought that up because sometimes these guys get on the mound and just play games because they can sit there so long trying to get you confused. And so then it becomes like Snoopy and Charlie Brown baseball instead of whatever. So being the fact that you have a pitch count time is significant, I think.
Speeding up the game was one of the biggest developments over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I guess we can move this into Toronto Blue Jays talk there, where Will Wagner, 3 hits in his first game this week, 2 in his second, so 5 in his first 2 games overall. Not quite the first Jays player to get 6 over his first 2 games, but still quite an accomplishment.
Who's that, Sean Green?
I think there was a couple they said on the radio.
Yeah, I think Sean Green was one, I believe. Was it 6 hits? In any event, when we're
I know Aaron Sebia had like 3 or 4 hits his first game, but I don't know how he did his second.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Well, Davis Schneider had the same thing his first game too, and look where that is right now.
Okay.
Having trouble hitting the fastball.
You think?
But Vladdy, when I wrote this, he was 5th in OPS in the AL. I believe he slipped to 6th or 7th now. But like, could he have an outside shot at a top 5 in the MVP vote?
Has to. Absolutely has to. They were saying since June or the All-Star break.
Since he's got his haircut.
Since he got his haircut. That's the weird thing about it. He definitely has to be in the talk. He's one of the hottest hitters in baseball. The only other guy is, I had him written down here. There's one other guy that's hitting on Milwaukee. That's hitting about 400 since the All-Star break.
Wow. Jackson Churio.
Chiriao. Yeah, he was hitting 400 since the All-Star break, but he doesn't have Vladdy's power numbers.
No, and I mean, Vladdy's had a phenomenal second half of the season, ever since really May.
Since he got his hair.
I might be on a soapbox here, but I do think that the MVP does need to come from a team that's winning.
Agreed.
The Toronto Blue Jays are not winning, so
We're saying top 5.
I would not have them in my top 5 for MVP voting.
Whoa. Who is this guy?
He's had a phenomenal season. I just do factor in winning a little bit into my calculation.
I think in the end that, and we being up here in Canada, I think you may have a pertinent point when it comes to the voters. Because unless he does something to blow everybody's head off and he's in the playoffs, they're going to completely ignore it anyway. That's a sad factor. But in my opinion, I watch a lot of baseball. I haven't seen many players that are better than Vladdy in the last.
So if we're talking MVP voting in the American League, off the top of my head, you have Judge, Soto, Gunnar Henderson, Jose Ramirez, and Bobby Witt, all head and shoulders above Vlad.
Gunnar Henderson above Vladdy too, eh?
I would.
I wouldn't know him. Do you see him lately?
The total body of work where Baltimore is in the standings.
Who are the 4 you said? I'll give you Bobby Witt.
So Soto and Judge.
Who's the other one?
Jose Ramirez.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he's having a great year, too. But I will tell you this much. I have a belief by the season ends, but your argument will win again because he plays for the Yankees in the playoffs. I think that Vlad's numbers are going to be as good as Soto's by the year end. You look at them now, they're pretty close.
Soto has an 1,100 OPS.
Okay, what's Vladdy at? About 1,000?
950.
950, but he'll get up there anyway. Now I'm going to give you this.
That's 150 points.
He could catch it, but I'm going to tell you one thing that Soto has.
I love he just dismisses that.
I don't want to dismiss it, but I'm going to put in something here that maybe you think doesn't matter or not. Who's protecting Vladdy in the lineup?
Oh, nobody.
And you can't look at that in MVP voting. What you could look at is Vladdy does play very good defense.
Oh yeah, yes, his defense has gotten better.
StatCast disagrees with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he's made a couple of bad errors.
He's ranked at either the worst or the second worst first baseman in baseball.
Why? I don't understand. He makes some great plays, but he's made some bonehead ones. Dropped a couple balls.
And
the percentage is because first basemen catch everything. So if you drop 3, that percentage could change. I think that's
big though.
Well, 3 times.
It is. I
will. But I do like Vladdy's defense.
You know what's funny though? Kirk, third best catcher defensively.
Well, I think that's where you see some of the merit of those metrics and the stats kind of get swayed a bit. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't see Vladdy. He's had a really good season. He's really shooken off that really terrible April.
Agreed.
I would not have him. If I'm voting for MVP today, he would not be in my top 5.
Does he get the $300 million?
I would give it to him.
What?
I would give it to him.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I would as well. 10 years, 300.
Yeah, I don't care that he's just a first baseman.
I don't care. I like his production. Well, I'll go to your school with Ohtani, but that's another story. He's only 25.
Yep.
Vladdy's only 25. This is the time to give him the 10 years.
Wasn't he the youngest player to hit 150 home runs too?
Something like that, yeah. So he's only 25, and you're still productive at 35. So this is the time to give it to him. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, outside of that, I would like to have Mr. Pick here. We had a discussion about the structure of the Toronto Blue Jays and whether or not they're in a rebuild or a retool.
Well, they're running it back next year. So it's a retool, I guess you could say. But there are some pertinent holes. Third base, left field, DH. Need at least one more starter, and you need to rebuild that bullpen.
You need a whole bullpen.
Yeah.
Okay, if Swanson and Romero come back the way they were supposed to be, and Swanson's look much better of late, if they come back and are key components to the
those are 2 guys, though.
Okay, so what my theory is, first of all, Kev, you had an interesting point. How many guys are we going to keep from this present team till next year? And what did you say? They're all what?
They're all 7, 8, 9 hitters, bench players at best. Other than Vlad, You can only have so many defensive players in your lineup. Varsho, I get it, but he should be 7, 8, 9 hitter, not 4. He's batting 4th right now.
That's insane.
Springer's going to be there just because of his contract. That's fine. But Andrew, you put out the list of team needs. I mean, we have a lot of holes. What we should be doing right now over the next month and a half is putting those kids out there to see if there's any promise to fill those holes. I think Horowitz has shown a bit of potential, though he slipped. Yeah.
I still think he could be a good second baseman next year full time.
Absolutely. Well,
he could play a bit of first too.
Why would you put him in Bo Bichette's position?
I love that. I wonder if Bo's going to be back next year. But I'm saying, like, when you got those character guys,
I would lean towards yes, although put an asterisk on that.
Okay, but I think we should keep that Jimenez guy.
Great. He should be our bench.
He's
our
a bench guy.
That's
He's our
what I'm
utility
saying.
infielder.
Yeah, and utility. Like I think him. I think that Clement has deserved a shot to be coming back on the team next year.
And he can play shortstop too.
And he can play shortstop. But to your theory,
another utility infielder.
Another guy. So what I'm saying is, my theory is this: overpay for everybody. Overpay. Short contracts, overpay. Shorter contracts, bigger money.
You know what's going to happen this summer, though? I think it's going to be Ohtani 2.0, but it's going to be with Soto. And it won't be the Dodgers stealing him. It's going to be the Mets. Because we talk about all the money that Rogers has, but who has the most, the richest owner in baseball? It's the Mets.
Okay, but if Rogers could afford him, I'm just thinking, will he come north to Canada? That's the big thing for me. Is he going to be there?
Well, he's not American, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Oh, okay, but I think maybe none of the taxes are about the same. My question is this. I just think that if I hear them bidding for Soto, I'm not even going to pay attention to it. I'm not even going to listen to it. I'm not going to give any credence to it whatsoever because of the Ohtani deal.
Listen, I think we were brought in Ohtani just to drive his price up. We might be doing that same thing.
So I don't want to hear. We're in bidding for Soto. I said, yeah, I might have a date with frickin' Beyonce next week too. I'm not quite sure. We haven't worked it out.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, there's plenty of other good free agent outfielders that are going to be available.
The free agent class is pretty big this year, but I'm just saying my theory is this. And I told you, Kev, we were going to spend $600 million last year. Where's that money gone? Did they burn it?
There was no plan B. That was the problem.
Okay, so now this year is plan B. Overpay. I'd go after Corbin, even though that start last night really made me think about it. I'd go after guys like that because to your theory is, we don't even have a number one starter. We have 3 number 3s.
Yeah, I think Gausman, Berrios, and we'll put Bassett aside, but at least Gausman and Berrios are 2 solid.
That's fine, but they're not aces.
But what was my rebuttal to say, let's go out and spend that $600 million? I don't think $600 million would fix all the holes that we have.
I would like to have the opportunity to think as such because if I'm going to be optimistic, which I've never been a Romano guy, but say Romano and Swanson come back and play the way their average season is, Green continues to progress the way he is, there's going to be 50 guys out there that are all bullpen guys that we could sign for decent money. So let's just stack all those guys. There's a number of solid fielders out there. What we should be thinking is a left fielder with power, a left-handed power bat. We've been talking about that all year. Overpay. Now, I'm saying this, and I think players would be okay with this. Instead of giving them 7 years, let's give them 3 years. More like jack their contract here, so they're not.
Well, that depends on what the players and the agents want too. So that's a little bit of a dance.
And you're bidding against.
You brought up agents.
You're bidding against 29 other teams.
Outbid them. We got the money. That's my point. Just outbid them.
It's not always that easy though, especially when you're dealing with so many guys in free agency, right?
I think that Rogers has the power to bulldoze their way through because, Kev, I've been saying this all year. It drives me nuts. Part of the baseball experience is winning. The amount of money that they sunk into the dome to make it the new atmosphere that it is, you got to put bums in the seats. And if you start off the season next year 0-20 or 3-17 or something.
You're 10 of Atkins and Shapiro, mind you.
Ooh, point well taken. You know what I mean? So I'm saying that the Jays are in a little gray area here, guys. You know?
Oh, it's a do or die next season.
100%.
I think we're going to be sitting here this time next year.
Saying the same thing?
It's going to be Groundhog Day. I think we're going to be signing it. We'll probably spend a lot of money, high annual value, short term, end up having to trade them. I don't think there's enough holes. It's a foundational issue. We don't have a great farm system. You need to be able to bring and inject the youth into the team. I mean, I think Kylie Daniel on ESPN, after we got those 14 prospects at the trade deadline, our farm system only moved from like 27th to
21
to 22.
22, yeah.
We're still in the bottom third of the
Yeah.
league. We still don't have
Yeah.
those high impact players. So
I've
I think
seen that too.
I mean, it would have been interesting to see what we could have
Mind
gotten.
you,
for
you
a
got to take
black-
those prospect rankings with a grain of salt.
Always,
Yeah.
always. I agree, because you're not a prospect till they get in the league, but
I think it matters more when you're trading these guys because that has to do with their value there, right?
exactly. You know what I mean? And you know what? If Wagner makes a team, wouldn't that be an amazing story?
Sure.
I would love to. I think we'd all love to see it. We're all
Because
hoping.
he was the throw-in on that deal.
He was.
He was the throw-in, and look at he's already come out and done it, which I think is very important. We got 40 games left in the season. That's a sizable sample
quarter of the
size.
season.
Yeah.
You got it. So let's go out and see what's going to happen. I'm really scared that we're going to get blown out late because I don't know when our bullpen comes out what's going to happen.
That's fine. Embrace the tank. Let's
Thank
get a
you.
top.
I'm not too worried about the win-loss. It's more about the performances of the individual players at this point.
Yes,
Completely
I
agree.
100% with that.
And if we fall into the number one pick, Jackson Holliday's younger brother is going to be there next year. So
Sure.
embrace the tank.
And the White Sox can't get the number one pick, so
Either
they can't
can-
even draft in top 10.
Either
so.
can Oakland.
There you go.
Okay,
There
there
you
you
go.
go. Should we look at the rest of the league?
Yeah, so there's a Yankees-Orioles battle that continues in the AL East. Even though you keep insisting that the Yankees are dead, they refuse to die.
Baltimore, what is your... And you know what? The problem is I hate both teams. So trying to be positive... And
Baltimore
I hate
won
Boston.
more in the loss column.
I see that. That just happened last night.
Yeah, it did.
So I'm still saying Baltimore should get ahead. I asked you guys about this before it started, and you guys can throw it in there, even though you say the OPS level has been down. I think the team that hits the best wins the World Series this year.
It all comes down to bullpen in the playoffs, though.
But if you get guys that can hit, we're going to go there. I've been looking at some crazy-ass numbers before I came in here, and way back in May, when we were going and the Jays were stumbling, I put forth the preposition that teams always fall back. The teams that I said that were going to fall back were Texas. I said Arizona was going to fall back. Okay? I said Arizona was going to fall back. And who was the other team I said that didn't fall back? Houston. I said it's time for them to fall back.
Houston looks like they're finding their stride at the right time.
Yeah, they have that Kikuchi guy at pitcher that's doing well.
Out of nowhere where he's coming back. But my point was this. What really pissed me off is I'm saying that this is the Jays organization. This is Arizona. These are these whatever teams that they, you know what I mean? They're not on the money stature of a Rodgers. And they came all the way, like when you go back to May, let's go back to May 30th. I think Houston, Arizona, and Texas had worse records than the Jays. But they were all sucked. They all had bad records.
Yeah.
But all those teams, well, Texas not going to make it. They don't have enough pitching. But Arizona now is the hottest team in baseball. What blows me with them is they're the best fielding team in baseball. They're the top 5 team in offense. Bottom 6 in ERA. How does that work?
I have no idea.
How does that work? When I looked at the numbers, I was blown away. Like they're hitting, they're fielding and all that, but their ERA, they're near the bottom of the league. I could not believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're second last in their division in runs scored. That's because they play in the same division as the Rockies. So.
Yeah, okay, but it's just crazy how things...
Or runs against, excuse me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. And like I'm saying, do they have a chance to win the World Series?
I mean, it's baseball. If you make the postseason, you got a shot.
Okay, so
They were there last year.
Yes, what I'm saying. But I thought teams make it and then they fall back. Seems like every year that seems to happen. It's not happening with Arizona. My theory is this. I think the teams that will hit the most will get there. But you got to have those 3 starting pitchers. San Diego is now like NL West. 6 weeks ago, we were handing Dodgers the division.
Now it's a 3-way battle.
And guess what? I'm thinking the Dodgers are in big trouble because who are their starters? Kershaw's come back. He's been smacked. Yarborough's looking like trouble. Buddy just went on the DH, or the IL. They don't even have a regular rotation.
Yeah, they got word that Glasnow's
Glasnow just went out.
but his elbow's clean, so he should be back in the minimum amount of time.
But he's still going to be gone a month, they're saying.
No, I think he'll be gone the 15 days, and then he'll be back just to give him some rest for the playoffs. He's not used to those big innings, but he should be back up.
Okay, so then when we look at Arizona, we look at San Diego, we look at Milwaukee. All those guys have 3 front-end starters like the Jays. They have now their next 5 starters because nobody in this league has 5 starters that are of any credibility. But those guys know at least those 3 guys are going to be there, and I hope they get a good day of their other starters. The Dodgers can't say that now. whoever they got to start tomorrow could be a bum. Kev, didn't they call you up last night, see what you were doing? I mean, this is the Dodgers.
I'd love a shot.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Andrew?
Yeah.
When you look at the Dodgers, like we were mailing them the division a month ago. Mookie Betts is bat, so what? I've never seen him throw a pitch.
What did you say at the start of this all? What's going to win the World Series this year?
Hitting.
And when you have a lineup of Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, like
Kiermaier.
Oscar Hernandez.
He's having a year. And he only signed 1 year with Dodgers,
He
right?
did.
Bring him back to the Jays.
when you have a top 5 like that, how can you count them out?
I'm not counting them out. I'm just saying that I'm not giving them the division right now. When the playoffs start, we got a whole new ball game. What's their position going to be going into the playoffs? But a month, 6 weeks ago, we were like, Dodgers, here you go. Now they're not even have the best record in baseball anymore, which is the conundrum, which is Cleveland seems to have the best record in baseball. Where do they come from?
Them in Philly.
Them in Philly. Philly's just a solid team on both ends. They got
Even though they slipped a little bit recently, it seems they kind of found their footing again.
I just think it was the dog days. You know, the dog days. That's all I thought. Philly
They still have a solid lead for their division. The two teams chasing them have kind of stubbed their toes, but most notably the Braves, who
they're struggling. But you know what else has happened? We talked about how wild that race is going to be in the National League. That race is that's dying. Because now everyone's established who's going to be there. Now, what pecking order they're going to be in? St. Louis isn't going to make it now. Remember they were in there?
Yeah,
they're falling
not
off.
going to make it. It's whether or not now it looks like if it's going to be the Braves or the Mets in that final wild card.
Yeah, because everything's been established. Now, a month ago, 7 teams were in that battle. And where did it go there?
Mind you, there's still another 4 teams within 5 games.
How many in the last column? 4 or 5 in the last column. We only got 40 games left.
5's a lot to make up at this time of year, but I think you're going to have a really good playoffs in the National League. All those teams.
Oh yeah.
There's some really strong points, but every team has that fatal flaw.
Has a hole in it, definitely. But like I said, suddenly in the last 2 weeks, that mashup of National League teams, all of a sudden there's been some separation coming down, and it's largely due to the fact that the teams that moved away had better pitching than the 3 that didn't, that fell down. And here's where we go. But I don't find, even though, you know what's really weird about baseball, and you guys tell me if I'm right or wrong, the hitting's been down, but I don't see any great pitching.
No.
I see good pitching, but I don't see whoa, jump off my couch, look at this pitching going on. I don't see that.
It's been a down year. There's so many of the high-end pitchers out with Tommy John, and a lot of the other ones have kind of fallen back. But yeah,
if the playoffs started today, what team would you say would have the Vegas odds on winning the World Series?
Are you asking me who I think is going to win, or who's going to be the odds-on favorite?
I'm not. Yeah, odds-on favorite, not who's going to win, because the playoffs didn't start. But if the playoffs started today and Vegas put out a line, who do you think would be the team?
Probably Philly.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're the strongest team all the way.
I like the way Houston's going, though.
Oh, Houston's a train right now. And you know
Houston
what?
and Philly, if I had to bet right now, that's my World Series pick.
And that'd be a great World Series. But you know, out of nowhere, San Diego's taken a whole season to figure out what they're doing.
It's true.
Now they're coming down the line. They're hitting. They're pitching. They got pretty good bullpen. Their bullpen has one of the best ERAs in the last.
Yeah, they invested in it at the trade deadline.
Yes.
If they can get Tatis back at some point before the end of the season, that'll be a game changer.
But they, like I said, was it since the trade deadline or whatever? Their bullpen has had one of the best ERAs in baseball since then.
Yeah.
And whoever said that San Diego is ever going to have a bullpen, because they were a team that tried to hit their way through everything. So
yeah,
should be interesting.
They traded for 2 or 3 guys. Jason Adam from Tampa Bay, who's really solid, and another guy that's escaping me. But yeah, they solidified their bullpen.
Oh yeah, huge.
All right, so we're almost 2 hours into the show, so we'll wrap up baseball. But before that, I want to ask you guys for your MVP picks, Cy Young picks, and Rookie of the Year picks for each league. So we'll start with Rookie of the Year. This is a tough one. There's no real obvious one in either league, if you ask me.
Is Merrill a rookie?
He is.
Yeah, he is.
I'm going to take Merrill of San Diego as my National League Rookie of the Year. I got to pick a MVP.
What about Rookie of the Year in the American League? For me, it's between Gil on the Yankees and Abreu on Boston.
I think Abreu is going to get it because Boston wasn't supposed to be where they are, and he's been an intricate part of them getting there. Had a good game last night.
Already got like 140 strikeouts, though.
What's that?
Gil on the Yankees?
Does he really?
Yeah, he does.
Ooh.
So I'm going to throw a third horse into the race, Colton Cowser on Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Abreu's had a good season, but they only use him in situationally against righties, so he sits on lefties.
True.
And Gill, ever since about a month ago, has fallen off a bit. I think he's right of the ship, but he had a pretty rough month.
I think you got a good call.
Colton Cowser.
Yeah, like I think he's. I would. Yeah, he's risen up in the last little while. Even though Baltimore has seemed to be stumbling of late, his star hasn't dimmed at all.
No.
So we got to give him that.
I think the National League has a better Rookie of the Year race.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I'd actually throw Paul Skeens as the hands down Rookie of the Year in my opinion.
Wow. He's one of the three that I circled. I also have Imanaga on the Cubs.
Oh yeah, you got to put him in too. But I think Skeens would get ahead of him only because he's got more press.
That's the thing.
That's what I mean. He's got more there. But he started the season.
Imanaga, yeah.
He started the season in the rotation where Skeens didn't come till later. I think that should get some factoring into it, shouldn't it?
I think it should.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
that's like, another 5 starts?
Oh, at
Yeah,
least.
Shota had an injury. He was out for a bit, but his numbers have been really solid across the board.
I think I would agree with you, though, about Merrill.
I think Merrill's going to be.
Yeah.
I think he is. And you know what? He's on both sides of the ball. Like he's good. Like defensively, he's very, very good. So I'm looking at him as a guy.
Interesting fact about Merrill, going into this season, he'd never played an inning in center field. He was always a shortstop.
Wow.
And now he's like Gold Glove level outfielder.
When I heard that, I didn't get it. I said, so what made you wake up one morning and say the guy's a center fielder? When I heard
Well,
that,
they
too,
had
I guess
they
if
had
you're
a
good
guy.
enough to play shortstop, you could probably play anywhere on the field.
point well taken, but that's a shortstop. When I heard that, I had no idea the guy was a shortstop. This is from like high school.
Yeah.
All the way through to the minor leagues. He gets to the majors. Okay, kid, you're going to play center field. Wow.
Sure.
And you know what I mean? And like center field's not one of the most important defensive positions on your team. Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Wow. He's a keeper. Okay, keep going on.
Cy Young. So for the American League, or I guess I'll start with National League. I got Wheeler from the Phillies.
Yep.
And American League, I got Skubal.
Really?
His numbers are the most impressive.
Wow. My old Detroit Tigers. I don't know. I'm wondering if it's going to come down to who's got a better record on a winning team.
It shouldn't come down to that, though, because it's
I
about
hope it
most
doesn't.
outstanding pitcher. That's the criteria, right?
And you know what I'm going to give him? He may end up having the most innings pitched of any starter in the American League. So that'll put him on.
That's where I start my Cy Young. I sort by innings
Oh,
pitched.
thank you very much. That's a big something. So, you know what? I'll jump on that bandwagon. There's a couple other guys that are having decent seasons, but he's averaging what, 6-1 a start? 6-1, 6-2 a start?
Something like that.
6-1.
His
It's
whip
one
is
of the-
under 1 as well.
Oh,
which is a
yeah.
number that I
His
love.
ERA is solid.
The strikeouts are up there.
Yeah, and he's playing for Detroit, so half the time he doesn't get wins because my Tigers don't know how to have no bullpen. I would pick him too.
His win-loss is still solid, though.
Oh no, considering where he is, you know what I mean. And he's had a bunch of no decisions and a couple of blown saves.
Yeah. I can't argue with either of those. Although
14-4 record. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love the guy.
And the quality starts, which
The quality-
our pitcher
Yep.
stat are going to be way up there.
That's the two things for me: quality starts and how many innings you're giving me.
So I'm right with you on those two picks. The only guy I would throw in on the National League side, Chris Sale, has had the bounce back of bounce back seasons.
My God,
He's
how
definitely
can
on the ballot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I never liked that guy either, but I'm looking at him every time he's out there. Like he's a credible guy in your lineup, man. After all the shit he's been through, God bless him. Yeah, who do you like in the American League?
Skubal.
National.
MVP?
Yeah. Did we
I
say
said
na-
Wheeler.
Oh yeah, Wheeler.
National League.
Oh yeah, MVP. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. So for the American League, I think it's pretty obvious it's going to be Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
No debate there.
All rise.
Yeah, there you go. And then for the National League, while Marte has been punching holes through my theory that they're all going to be first baseman DH types that were going to be in the conversation, it's Ohtani that's the MVP for me.
So Cruz, I know you guys can't see this right now, but Cruz is giving a pretty sour face on Ohtani. Didn't he have Tommy John surgery? Reason he cannot play in the field right now? So you're going to ding him because he's playing hurt?
He's going to win the MVP.
Thank you.
He's going to win the MVP. I have my reasons for maybe I'm old. Part of the reason I'm old.
Not maybe.
Okay, I'm old. And sometimes I see it on TV when people are debating. The old school guys and the young school guys, we have the same arguments all the time. So us traditionalists have to start looking at the game differently because things have changed. You know what I mean? We have to do it. It's just the nature of doing baseball. It's not like they did it in the 70s and 80s anymore. However, I would like some of those elements to come back, like getting a pitcher to pitch. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about this shift. Do what you want on the diamond and stuff like that. The speeding the game up, I like. I don't respect stolen base numbers anymore.
Because of the bigger bags
And you can only throw over 3 times. So that's got distorted for me. But if you still steal 25, 30 bags a year, there's some credibility to that.
Otani's got, what, 35, 36 right now?
Ohtani?
Yeah.
Well,
Already.
That gets him into that. That advances his ability to win the MVP because of that. But I really would wish it was an everyday player that would win that. But like he said,
He's DHing every day.
Stop it. You know what I'm saying? My thinking is like thinking about dinosaurs. You got to wipe the dinosaur shit off this and say we're in 2024. Begrudgingly, Ohtani will be the MVP.
Yes.
There's just no doubt about it.
All right, so we will take it into our final segment here, talking about the Olympics, the wrap-up. Closing ceremonies were last Sunday. The first time in Summer Olympic history where there was a tie for the most gold medals.
I did not know that till I heard that number.
It's happened in the winter a few times, but
Yeah.
this is the first time in the Summer Olympics where there's been a tie.
Everything.
That was between the States and China, right?
Okay, so I'm going to say this and we can go around the table. When I was a kid, I used to be hyped by the Olympics.
Hold on, I want to just also talk about some of the Canadian ones. So
We're going to get there? Okay.
So
go.
we're 12th in gold medals, 9 gold, 7 silvers, 11 bronze. And some of the athletes that I mentioned last time, Ethan Katzberg with the golden hammer throw, Wyatt Sanford, the bronze in boxing, Cameron Rogers, a golden hammer throw, Alicia Newman, a bronze in pole vault, Maud Sharon, a silver in weightlifting, Skylar Park, a bronze in taekwondo, Jerome Blake, Aaron Brown, Andre DeGrasse, Brendan Rodney gained the gold medal in the 4x100 relay, amazing race. Melissa Humana Paredes and Brendier Wilkinson gained the silver in beach volleyball. Sloan McKenzie and Katie Vincent with the bronze in the canoe. Katie Vincent also getting the gold later in the single canoe. Philip Kim getting the gold in breakdancing, and Marco Arup with the silver. And it's still a gold medal. That's our count. Oh, you're a dick, aren't you, today?
Thank you.
And Marco Arup is silver in 800 meters.
But you forgot our girl. Did you mention Summer McIntosh?
But I mentioned her medals before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's our shining star.
These are like since the last time. Yeah.
Okay, so
And-
anyways, when we started this, Kev, we were just hoping that we could eclipse the 24 medals that we got 4 years ago, which we did. However, I just realized during the thing is there was no Russian athletes there, so I wonder.
Well, there were Russian athletes.
What were they, from the refugee team?
No, there was like an independent team, like it was NAI or something.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Were they mostly Russians?
Russians and Belarusians.
Belarusians.
Oh, okay. Is that what it was? That's why I seen that weird uniform. I know they were Eastern European, so whatever the case may be. I'm thinking it was a very above average Olympic performance by Canada, personally, because what weirded me out was all of a sudden we were winning in shit I never thought we'd be winning in. The breakdancing
Like
one, come on,
breakdancing?
get it out of here. Stop.
Well, it won't
it.
be back next Olympics.
That's a good thing. But, I mean, when you put it into context, did Australia finish ahead of us again?
They usually do.
Cruz, how do we do compared to them in the Winter Olympics?
That's different.
Well, there's only so much money that could be invested into your sports program.
Winter in Australia is different than winter in Canada.
Summer in
Okay, that's
Australia is different than summer in Canada.
It's a lot hotter. But
Different
they don't
time.
have.
Okay, but
they don't have any.
but
They
they're
don't
not
have no-
investing into winter sports, and we are. So you got to consider that too.
I think it should be on a whole, the whole way we do it. Like Australia finished us ahead again in the Summer Olympics, and you know what
They
my
always
bitch
will.
about? They shouldn't. We should be able to put our.
What do you mean? All they have is summer sports. Of course, they're going to be investing more into that.
But it's part of the infrastructure of the country to invest in your players. We look for sponsors and we don't give it the government puts in. We should be doing more of that. That's what my bitch is. They have a lottery or something in Australia. If you get a world-class record or you get it competing, here's the money. Start training for the Olympics. We don't do that. We have to go find sponsors. Why can't we
Or
take...
OnlyFans.
What?
Or
Or
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. But I'm saying, like, why can't we take 10% of one of the 1,000 lotteries we have in this country and devote it to athletes that are
Well, the
on
problem
this
is that lotteries are done by the province in Canada.
Well, then make it a national one. Well, look, if people are buying a Lotto Max in BC, People are buying Lotto Max in Nova Scotia. So, like, let's take 10% or 5% of Lotto Max and invest it in our players that are training on a world-class level. Don't pour it in like Vancouver. There was more money put into athletes going into the Vancouver Winter Olympics than any Olympics in Canada.
I get that, but we're still feeling the effects since then. Like, you look at Canada's medal count in the Olympics. No, it has been positive.
Yeah.
We've been up there in the medal tables for the Winter Olympics, everyone since.
Okay, and that's great, but you know what it is, and the key things about investing in things like that is, does your Olympics make money? See, we're going to find out, did France make money? Because a lot of times it's become a Rio lost money. Like, you know, like, is it worth it? That's why I always say to people, if you want to, Toronto's going to get the Olympics, probably in your lifetime, maybe
Hopefully
not mine.
not. People don't want it here.
I don't think they will. I don't think they want that.
I don't think the people want it here.
I don't want my taxpayers' dollars being put out for it. That's what I'm getting at. Most Olympics don't make money. We're going to find out about France. And
it hurts your tourism long term, too.
there you go. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying that Canada should take a percentage of a lottery so this person doesn't have to worry about working at McDonald's 3 shifts a week instead of training. In Australia, when you get to this level, you can go and get the national voucher or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Why don't we do that in Canada?
I don't think we'd argue against you that investing in our athletes, like, everyone loves watching the Olympic
There you
sports.
go.
It was a family event for us every night after dinner.
Wow.
The kids loved it.
Wow.
6 and 3-year-old loved watching the Olympics. Nothing against investing, but I think you still have to celebrate their victories. We're not up there in the Summer Olympics with a lot of other countries, even from a population standpoint. Like, we're always going to have those barriers. 27 medals should be celebrated. And
I agree.
One stat I'll throw out there, of those 27 medals, the women brought home 17.
That's a very good point, and I understand that. So my point is, I'm very happy to hear about the family event in the Olympics, because I was more excited about it when I was younger than I was older. Okay, because sometimes I get jaded. Really, me? But anyways, the bottom line
Although
is,
I will say, I wasn't more excited for these summer games than I was for, like, the last probably 3.
you less excited?
More excited.
Oh, more excited.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, because I want to bring it to the table. I think the best thing, and I'm going to put that in my back pocket, and I may use that for my next gospel, because I like the thing. The idea is it becomes a family affair. That's the most significant thing in advancing any sport at any time in any era of any generation. Mr. Milani, you of all people should agree with me. His mom knows more about hockey than most guys. You know what
true.
I'm saying? So when it starts in the home, that's when you get to expand it everywhere else. I think that's amazing. You and the kids watch the Olympics? That's just cool in the gang, you know?
I thought this was a great year for the Olympics, and I don't know if this is going to help this segue, but I think it was that much more amazing because of Canada's basketball presence there and the jump that we've made over the last couple of years to get to where we are.
Oh, agreed. And another thing is like you were saying, that I was really hoping that we'd get the medal count that we did, and we exceeded that in a lot of ways, which we brought athletes that I didn't know. Like, we won a judo medal. I didn't even know we had people in judo, or the fencing.
Yeah.
The fencing girl, and I thought that was amazing. And then you hear the journey of Melissa, whatever her name is, that did the pole vaulting. You hear her journey to get there is amazing. The hammer throwing person. But at the same time, we left medals on the table. The shot put girl totally blew it. She was a favorite. I thought for sure she was a gimme medal. But that's the beauty of the Olympics. You expect this, then you get that. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
That's sports.
Thank you very much. What was your overall impression of the Olympics?
I mean, there were some of the controversies that kind of dragged things down. The Sen, the just the way that the athletes were treated. You know, the sleeping situation, the food.
The food.
That's embarrassing.
France. That should be embarrassing.
I know.
I think what happened.
I know a lot of people shit on French cuisine, but you know.
But I thought what had happened is, which is the
Opening
tradition.
ceremonies.
Yeah, okay. But I'm saying the traditional jump from going into the whole gymnastics thing into the track and field and how they had everything circled on the scheduling. To me, they do it every year, but it seemed to be more prominent this year because the way it seamlessly went from these events to the other, which you could do. You know what I'm saying? The weird thing about it is that caught me off guard is no matter how we watch the Olympics, why does it always get so Americanized?
I don't think so.
Well,
Are you watching the American coverage?
I was watching both.
Okay, well, there you go.
I
I
was-
was only watching the Canadian coverage.
Oh,
I
I
did
would-
not feel as Americanized.
And the Canadian coverage was phenomenal this year.
I thought it was good too, but you know my setup. I was watching both just to see how they were covering events and what they were saying about it. I just think I'm glad as Canadians. I'm not saying that we're mellow or we're anything lesser. I'm just saying that to your point, I thought that the Canadian coverage was more level. We were homerisms at time when we had the opportunity to be. The Americans were shoving it down our throats 24/7 everywhere you went. I think Noah Lyles is a bitch. You know what I mean?
Oh, he
shit
is.
like that, like shit like that. Then we had to see this guy every day. You put him on, and even Canada got in on it a bit, and then they backed off, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because everyone jumps on the Simone Biles, which is well respected because she should be there. I think that some of the things that really appealed to me is the French swimmer Marchand.
Yeah. Leon Marchand.
Did you hear the chant when he was coming out of the water?
Oh, yeah.
Unprecedented I've ever seen in my life. That thrilled me that you're in your home country, and every time you bounce out of the water, you had 20,000 people cheering in line with your amazing. That really blew me away. The Swedish guy that won the pole vault, that pushed the envelope till he got over, after all the controversies that he went through, I thought that was amazing. But the most amazing guy in the Olympics, and I don't think that he got put up enough, is the Cuban wrestler that won 5 Olympics in a row. Who's done that? Michael Phelps, no.
Just him. He's the only one.
Usain Bolt,
That's
no.
incredible.
Carl Lewis, no. This guy won 5 Olympics, gold medals in a row. How come we didn't hear more of him?
I think the media came out near the end and really celebrated him.
Yeah, I thought towards the end, and he was there at the end of the ceremonies too, as the most decorated at the closing ceremonies. So I think he finally got his props. But I vaguely remember hearing about him 4 years ago. But to do it 5 times in a row, guys, whew,
That's incredible.
unbelievable. You know what I mean? What is your take on our Canadian basketball performance this year?
I mean, they put up a good show, but like at the end of the day, they're still inexperienced when it comes to this role. And in a matchup-driven game, especially the way playoff basketball is, we just didn't have the bigs to put up with France.
Yeah, I think going into that game, even though Canada was favored from a point spread perspective, that was always going to be a toss-up going into the paint with the twin towers there. 1 or 2 of the French perimeter guys got hot, and that was the end. You have a bad shooting game, it's a 1 loss and you're out. We cannot let that diminish how far the program's come and how much momentum we have going into future events. There's NBA players that weren't even part of this roster. Shaedon Sharpe, Benny Mathurin, that are going to be part of that core going forward. We have a problem developing big men. That's a separate story, but these guys should be celebrated for how far they've come.
Oh, we got a big man.
Oh, Zach Edey. Yeah, he wasn't allowed to
he
play.
wasn't on the team.
Well, he'll be there next time because they were afraid about his footwork, and I understand why in FIBA he would have been a liability.
I think it was more of a Memphis call instead of
I
a
agree.
Team Canada call. He would have been there if he could have.
Really?
Yeah.
So that means the Americans just kicked us because they wouldn't let us have Wiggins. They wouldn't let us have him.
Well, who's the American coach? Who's Andrew Wiggins' coach? Right?
That's where it gets shady.
That's very, very shady.
The Edey one I can kind of understand because he's like a rookie. You want to get your NBA career off on a good start. But Wiggins, like,
That was just pure bitch move by the Americans. I just thought that eBay or whatever his name is, because I'd seen him. Remember last year he was in the tournament. He's not FIBA ready because of the inside banging and his feet work. He would have been in foul trouble in 5 minutes. The way you got to play the game. But I expect him to be a force in 4 years, and I expect us to be back there in 4 years, so to speak. And
they should medal in Los Angeles.
They should medal in or have a good shot at medaling Los Angeles. One of the things that I didn't like about it is the backlash against Jamal Murray. I thought that he just took too much now.
Yeah.
To Jamal's credit, if you were hurting the way you looked at times, maybe he shouldn't have been playing as much. You know what I mean? He was out there because he's Jamal Murray, NBA Larry O'Brien champion, but he was clearly not the Jamal Murray that was in the finals last year for the Denver Nuggets.
No, he wasn't 100%, and I think they started going more towards Andrew Nembhard in the latter half of the games, just because Murray wasn't
But in the game, they left him in against France. We got down to 3 points. At one point in the France game, we battled. We played defense. We got back down there. Now, the foul situation, that's a whole other story. And the refereeing, we could talk about that all day. But he didn't play enough then. Murray took over those minutes in that key part of the game. And I was expecting him to come out because he was a spark plug on the team. All during the game, I didn't even really know him that much. But, I mean, he showed up during that. I thought maybe he should have got some of them Murray minutes if Murray was hurt. But then what do? You're going to be all out of shape because he's an NBA guy that didn't get his time? Like, look at what the Tatum situation was for the Americans.
There you go. American media overselling one. You're going to win the gold medal. The guy just played
Shut up.
like 120 games in the NBA season.
Shut up. That's what I say, too.
I mean, it was weird, though, to have, like, the best player on the team that won the championship having trouble finding minutes.
Listen.
Meanwhile, his teammates were finding minutes on the bench. That was a little weird.
Coach LeBron had a vision for his team, and they won a gold medal.
I heard that Tatum and LeBron don't really ever talk because it all started years ago when he was young and they were in the playoffs and bad in Cleveland, that LeBron never got the respect he thought from Tatum. Tatum says, I'm here to beat you. Remember in his rookie year and his second year when they were in the conference finals, because how many times was Boston in the finals? That was Tatum leading them there back in the day. And Tatum wasn't backing
Conference
down.
finals, you
Conference
mean, right?
finals, yeah. And Tatum wasn't backing down from him back then. So what, LeBron had a thorn in his ass? You had to bring Tatum on the team. Come on. But the way he was treated, I went,
Keep
ooh.
off Tatum and Brown.
What's that?
You couldn't keep Tatum and Brown off the team.
Yeah, okay, there you go. That's exactly it. And there was no love there. But like you said, that's all media driven. That's just content for the things that we were talking about here. Overall, personally.
Oh, hold on. I want to ask you about LeBron winning MVP over Steph.
I would have flipped a coin. Okay, because LeBron did so much in every game that defined him as one of the greatest of players of all time. Curry showed up when you were supposed to, which is the what you would call the most valuable
30
player.
plus point games in the semis and the finals.
And that's what they usually say. When we watch sports in North America and a guy pulls that off in the finals, doesn't matter who you are, you get it.
You get the MVP, yeah.
You get the MVP. So I think it was a little bit, I don't know. I thought, when I heard LeBron, I was surprised. I thought it was Curry for sure. Didn't you?
I did, and I think when you looked at the voters too, I think someone even put a Jokic vote in there as well, just because of how he kind of dragged Serbia along to where he did. But Curry had a phenomenal last 2 games. LeBron was great throughout all the tournament. I think they both need to be celebrated. Unfortunately, because LeBron got the MVP, Curry won't be talked about as much of what he did. But man, those 30-point games, what he did against France.
Unconscious shots.
I would have had a hard time making that vote. I think I would have, you said flip a coin. I would have, I think I would have slightly leaned LeBron, but I can't discount what Curry did.
What I would have given Curry, the fact is, you put the shot that put the nail in the coffin. Both guys were taller than Curry. Both guys had their arms up in his face, all net. All net. That's
greatest shooter in NBA history.
Yeah, I can't deny that.
No, we can't even touch that. That's just amazing.
He has revolutionized the game to where it is today. The 3-point shot is what it is because of Steph Curry.
Well, you've never heard Andrew and I's discussions. You know what I say Steph Curry is for the NBA? The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Which is a little unfair to pin on him because it's
not
other
his fault.
managers that are overreacting.
There you go. I give Steph all his props in the world, Kev. I think Curry is a unicorn in context of the game. What bothers me is there's only one Steph Curry. There's only one Wayne Gretzky. There's only one Michael Jordan. Then all of a sudden coaches think, well, we're going to put these guys in and make them play like that. It never works. Think about it.
Yeah,
you know
the
what I
NBA
mean?
is a copycat league.
It's a copycat league, yeah.
But
so
that's enough about the NBA. I want to get into the breaking or breakdancing controversy with the ray gun from Australia. Maybe the worst Olympic performance. Actually, there was one from I think it was Beijing. There was a swimmer there.
That was brutal.
That was bad.
That was so bad. That's when I flicked the channel. So what's going on here?
But she was awful. She wasn't the worst breakdancer there, but I mean, it was the memes were running wild on the. They still are running wild on the internet. But and she's the way she's coming out and defending herself and talking about how it's a shame that she's the voice behind breakdancing now, which is so hilarious. But
What a representative to have. Do you guys think it's not coming back, right?
it was already confirmed before the Olympics that it would not be back for LA because they're going to be introducing baseball, softball, cricket, lacrosse, field lacrosse, I believe.
Oh, field lacrosse, yeah. Baseball's coming back?
Baseball, softball.
Coming
Okay,
back.
what are they going to do for baseball? The same like they do in soccer?
Hold on. I'm not done. I'm trying to think of the other two sports now. Cricket.
Cricket, yeah, which I think should be.
Damn, what's the other one? I can't remember now.
It's something to do with athletics that they haven't had it in a while.
No, it's a completely new sport.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was something like a hammer throw or something that they haven't had many years they're going to bring back. You know what I mean?
No, it's not that.
So we are of agreement that the Olympics were probably a greater success than they would have been considering the first 3 days of the Olympics and all the controversies that went on, correct? What do you say, Kev?
I think it was a success. I think,
Flag football.
Oh, yeah, flag
that's
football.
the
Yeah,
other one. Oh my
yeah,
God,
that's
how did I
right.
forget
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one?
I thought you already said that. Flag football is coming in for sure. Okay,
Oh, it isn't, yeah, it's
okay,
confirmed.
so now they're going to keep in 3-on-3 basketball. Did you hear the controversy around that?
Well, it's
Yeah.
because the U.S. didn't win.
No, it's the way that FIBA had made you qualify. It's the weirdest qualifications I've ever heard in my life. You got to play this tournament, this many games, and this and that. Now, Ice Cube was on the McAfee show. He's now got all the regulations and all the stipulations for making you a 3-on-3 player. Pick. They're going to win next time. The Americans are going to win. They just didn't know the minutia. They didn't know the fine lines. And let's take it one step further. These world guys did you hear what Ice Cube offered Netherlands, who won game 3? He offered them $200,000 to come over and play in a tournament in Labor Day weekend against the NBA, against the 3-on-3 All-Stars. FIBA came up with this thing that said we need 21 days notice to put this on. The Netherlands guys wanted to come over. How stupid is this? You get to advance your game, you get to make more money, and you get exposure, and you say no? Who does that in history sports?
I don't think it's that much exposure.
Whatever the case be, it would be, Ice Cube would pump it up. Anyways, what he's going to do is around Christmas time, he's gone through the whole, every qualification. He's got a lawyer to dot every T and every I, and he said the Netherlands will be playing, the gold medal Netherlands team will be playing in North America by Christmas time.
Perfect.
Well, I want to get back to breakdancing for 1 second.
Okay.
Did you hear how she qualified for the Olympics?
No.
So she's Australian, so she's part of Oceania. That's the region.
Yep.
For whatever reason, only Australians were allowed. So I don't know how that became a thing. And even to qualify, you had to have 3 letters of recommendation from certain people. It was just so convoluted, so stupid. It's funny too because you watch her qualifier to get into the Olympics, and somehow she was even how bad she is, she was still much better than the woman that she was up against or the B girl, I guess, for.
But how do
second.
they score that?
It's like gymnastics. It's like figure skating. There's a way to do it. I don't know what that is. Like diving. I don't know. It all looks spectacular to me.
I understand
Although
because I'd
I
see the splash, I see the legs
Yeah,
move, I see a slip on the floor in gymnastics.
There's a lot of minutia. in there.
Yeah, but I don't understand the minutia of breakdancing.
I'm right there. I'm not familiar with it. There's a reason it's not coming back in 2028. So
That's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to do there? Did we miss anything?
No, closing ceremony. Did you guys watch it all? Ethan Katzberg, the hammer thrower, and Summer McIntosh, the swimmer, of course, the flag bearers. Do you see the guy at the piano?
Amazing.
That was awesome.
Amazing.
Do you see this at all? Where it's
I only caught right at the end when Tom Cruise was kind of rappelling down.
Which was even more insane.
and
guy
then,
is
it,
worse.
it went right into LA for the concert there.
So
no.
he was on his back playing a piano, and the piano was rising up on a pole. It was insane. It was lit up kind of orange.
Doing
around.
traditional French operatic shit, it was just off the charts. I was blown away. I was more blown away in the opening ceremony when that guy was playing that $1 million piano and it was getting poured on and he didn't miss a note. That blew me away. I wonder what happened to the piano. That piano is worth, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000. It was one of those.
Thousands.
Yes, that Steinberg, that old school one. This was a piano. I know instruments. I seen that go. Purists must have been losing their mind. Pouring rain on this, and the guy never missed a note. You know what I mean?
One last thing we have to mention is Amin Khalif, the Algerian boxer, is filing a harassment case in France It's worth noting that 28 people were found guilty in the cyberbullying case earlier this year in France, with sentences ranging from 4 months to 18 months in prison.
Leave the girl alone.
And don't spread misinformation.
Okay, don't spread misinformation.
I think with the way media is nowadays, people jump on
Yeah.
little nuggets way too quickly.
Yeah.
That's what happened here, and a lot of high-profile media people, I won't mention names, really jumped on this and really put a damper on this individual's Olympic career. So
Yeah.
And, hopefully it stops and she can kind of get back to what she's good at doing.
Yeah, it's a really shame. We don't know the names who are mentioned in this case at all, but I mean, there's a few big celebrities who we can, I'm sure, think of that have been front and center in all this controversy. So it's going to be an interesting, I guess, next couple of years regarding this.
Okay, yeah, they'll figure it out, I hope. That's for sure.
Let
In
the,
any
let the
event-
lawyers make the...
Make the lawyers make that. In any event, I think we're getting near the end, are we?
Yeah, so I didn't read off the trivia question I had last
Oh,
week.
wait, we did not do something that's insignificant. That was significant.
What's that?
We saved it for the show.
Yeah.
Where are we at today?
San Francisco Foods.
We have not done the San Francisco Sluggers report.
No, we have not.
We have to bring that up. So first of all, none of these guys ever came in here except for Pedro, who calls himself Cy. I just want to shout out, if anybody here, BOH,
Hey.
game-winning, 2-out, 3-run double to win the game. I just want
Where'd
to say...
BOH go? Is he shy now?
Yeah, he's just over there skimming in. Anyways, I just want to say this about our team. We got a weird thing going on, Pick. You know where it's going happening now? Like, because one of the teams are out, so sometimes a team plays before and then we play them next. So they got a game. They've already played a game. We lost a game, and then we had to make a comeback in a game because we come out flat. So sluggers, you have to come out from the beginning of the game. We have to go from the get-go. Like the other team's already played a game. We come walking in smoking weed with a beer can in our hands, and all of a sudden we're down 6-0. Guys, when we got to show up, we got to play every inning from the beginning and stay in tight. Speaking of our guys, hey, Dubs, get in here. Say hello. We got some sluggers in the house. But most importantly of all, I want to say one thing. Cody McDonald is unequivocally carrying this team on his back. I think we should be getting him, what is that, some Roboset and shit like that, because we are killing this guy. Big shout out to my son for Zach running the team very well, giving everybody a lineup and opportunity. But the sluggers got to start playing from the first inning, not show up in the fourth and think we're going to do some shit.
All right.
And there's this old man that plays second base. Knock the ball down. Don't let it go through your legs. I'm not going to tell you who plays. I'm not going to tell you who plays second base, by the way.
Oh, I think we know.
Okay. In any event, that's a slugger shout out. Before
Anything
I
you
go,
want to add to that?
I'm not on the Sluggers.
Never mind.
I went and watched one of their games. They're a resilient group.
I want to
them hell.
have a big shout out to the Pheasant Run. To the Pheasant Run Dynasty Football League, who is now in the house. And these guys are still ugly, by the way. Nothing has changed. They're still ugly. But most importantly of all, guys, shout out to our 18th year, guys. 18th year, and we've all had the same guys. There's only been one change, I think, but the same guys have been in this league for 18 years. We're looking forward to the draft. JP, did you bring anything special today?
No, I quit.
What? When did hell freeze over? When did hell freeze over?
Okay, let's move
Okay,
this along.
anyways,
So we have a trivia question. I was supposed to read it off last week, but either way.
Okay.
So Sidney Crosby recently celebrated his 37th birthday. How many hat tricks has Sid the Kid scored in his career? Bonus point if you can guess which team he has scored the most hat tricks against.
Philadelphia, I think, is a team he scored the most hat tricks against.
How many do you think he has?
I'm not sure, but I think he has 17.
17? I'm going to say 12.
That was the number I was going with. You know what? I'll split the difference and let's call it 14.
Okay, I'm gonna say New York Rangers, just to be different.
Okay, because I'm thinking of who they played a lot.
Yeah.
I think Toronto's on that scale, too, somewhere.
He's terrorized Toronto. You know
Yes.
what? Toronto Maple Leaf report. I'll put it Toronto. On there.
Okay. So the answer is 13. Oh, I was off
Whoa.
by one. And the team was Columbus Blue Jackets, the only team he's scored multiple hat tricks against, and they're his two most recent ones.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you,
Steven,
Steven.
what a great trivia question. What a great trivia session. Well, this is the time when we get to the show. I want to thank Mr. Kevin Pick so much for your participation.
And Mr. Kevin Pick will be back again.
Yes,
I
you
think.
certainly will. As a matter of fact, we're going to say there's a possibility, because I know you're a family man and you're a coach. Please see if you can separate some time for our football preview show.
Yes, absolutely.
The football, because if you come on the football preview show, you will be a reoccurring guest during the year every few weeks about the football thing. Agreed?
Agreed.
And we're going to tell Steven after that spectacular trivia question, he could be our reoccurring hockey guy if he prefers to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And I think that will just about do it for us today. I'm Andrew Milani.
Should we give him a shout out before he goes?
Absolutely.
Mr. Pick, thank you so
Is there
much.
anything you want to plug before? Or?
Nothing. Thank you guys for having me. It was an awesome experience, and yeah, looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so what do we say?
I'm Andrew Milani.
My name is Cruz.
What do we do?
We keep the vibe alive.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.